Chapter 532. Beijing. Su Yingtian saw Xing Feng. Xing Feng was very careful and ordinary people would not know where he was. Su Yingtian had to spend a lot of effort to see him. The two of them sat facing each other and Xing Feng said with a smile that did not reach his eyes, "Chief Su has graced me with your presence. Could it be that you have brought someone to take my life?" "I have no interest in your life," Su Yingtian said without any change in expression. Xing Feng did not care and coldly snorted, "Is that so? Then why did you bring Tang Zheng to the base and cause my base to be destroyed? A soldier should do things openly. What kind of ability is it to capture someone's family to threaten them?" Su Yingtian said. This is the result of going against the dragon group. I want to kill the chicken to warn the monkey and let the world see. Moreover, he went against the dragon group, which is the same as going against the country. His family is the family of the criminal. What's wrong with me capturing him? You don't need to speak in such a dignified manner in front of me. Moreover, your dragon group does not represent the country. Don't blow your own trumpet. Su Yingtian retorted. You have caused the dragon group to suffer heavy losses and harmed the country's interests. I haven't even reported you and you have the guts to come find me. If you want to complain then go ahead, but I am here to tell you that if you still want to act alone and fight to the death with Tang Zheng, then it won't be as simple as a base, but rather a disaster. When the time comes, the higher-ups will blame you. Not only you, but even the person behind you will be implicated. You should think it over clearly. Su Yingtian said without any trace of politeness. Xing Feng's face sank as he stared at Su Yingtian and said, "Are you threatening me?" "You are right. It is a threat," Su Yingtian said frankly. "You are going to support that brat and go against my dragon group?" "All I know is that Tang Zheng's actions did not threaten this country. Instead, it was your willful actions that brought this country into danger," Su Yingtian said fiercely. Xing Feng's expression kept changing as he stared at Su Yingtian. He wanted to see through his thoughts, but in the end, he found that it was futile. With Su Yingtian's shrewdness, Xing Feng could not find any useful information. "Then what do you want? Let's mind our own business and walk our own paths. If you dare to have any ideas about Tang Zheng again, I promise you that I will show you the power of the National Security Agency. Don't think that the National Security Agency's decades of accumulation can be compared to your dragon group's dozens of days," Su Yingtian said without any trace of politeness. Xing Feng's eyes were about to spit fire, but he didn't act rashly. Judging from Su Yingtian's expression, he was telling the truth. Although Xing Feng was usually arrogant and didn't even put the National Security Agency in his eyes, he knew the capabilities of the National Security Agency. Just like what Su Yingtian said, the National Security Agency had been established for many years and its strength was unimaginable. It wasn't something that the Dragon Group could shake with just a few days of accumulation. "Okay, I promise you. But let me give you a piece of advice. It might not be a good thing to be associated with this brat. In the end, the National Security Agency might be destroyed in your hands." Xing Feng said coldly. "You don't have to worry about that." Su Yingtian stood up and left, not giving Xing Feng another glance. Seeing Su Yingtian leave, Xing Feng's face turned ashen. Suddenly, he roared in anger, "Fuck, surnamed Su, there will be a day when I will step on you and crush you into pieces." Creak. A small door at the side slowly opened, and a Westerner strolled out. He said with a smile, "Team Leader Xing, now you understand my good intentions, right? In Huaxia, if you want to have the right to speak, you need to have real power. Only the one with the harder fist can set the rules of the game. I can give you a hand and let your strength far surpass Su Yingtian." Xing Feng suspiciously looked at him and asked, "What's your purpose?" I want to make friends with group leader Xing." "Make friends?" Xing Feng was also someone who had been in the government for most of his life. How could he believe such a blatant lie? The other party was the young lord of the Rockefeller family, Louis. He traveled thousands of miles to Huaxia, so why would he make friends with him and help him for no reason? Actually, speaking of which, Team Leader Xing and I have a common enemy, Louis said as his eyes narrowed into slits. Who? Tang Zheng. Xing Feng suddenly understood. He knew a thing or two about the conflict between Tang Zheng and Louis, so he asked, "Oh, then what method do you have to get rid of him?" Louis said in a low voice, "Group Leader Xing, Tang Zheng is insignificant and can't do much. Our cooperation is the most important thing. If we don't get rid of Tang Zheng, our cooperation can't be discussed. Group Leader Xing really hates Tang Zheng to the core. Alright, since he is our common enemy, then let's get rid of him quickly." Louis hesitated for a moment, then agreed. Xing Feng's lips curled into a proud smile, and he praised, "Now that's the attitude of cooperation. However, don't treat me like a fool. How do you want to help me? Tell me what conditions you want. If you don't say it now, I won't acknowledge it in the future." Group Leader Xing is a straightforward person. Then I won't hide it. I want the core technology of the mecha. What? Xing Feng was shocked. He hadn't expected the other to be so greedy and ask for such a condition. This condition won't do. Change it. Louis shook his head and said arrogantly, "Group Leader Xing, this is my condition. Actually, in terms of technological prowess, the Western Empire is far superior to your Huaxia. This time, it was by chance that you obtained the mecha technology. Mecha technology is a national secret. How can we give it to you so easily?" Xing Feng continued to refuse. Louis was unmoved. He smiled and said, "Group Leader Xing also understands that this technology is a national secret, so this technology won't have much practical benefit for you. Do you think I'm right?" Xing Feng's expression changed. These words had hit the nail on the head. Louis sneered disdainfully in his heart. These bureaucrats were indeed the same. They were selfish and insatiable. As long as you poked the G-spot in their hearts, they would be at your mercy. They would not be able to withstand a single blow. In life, the most important thing is to fight for your own benefits. No matter how much benefits the government has, they will still belong to the government and not in your own hands. Sometimes, people still have to think for themselves. Louis purposely sighed meaningfully. Xing Feng's eyelids twitched. He stared at him with burning eyes and said, "What do you mean by that?" Louis smiled mysteriously and said, "Group Leader Xing is a smart person. Of course, you understand what I mean." It was very simple. Louis wanted Xing Feng to betray the interests of the country and gain personal benefits for himself. In other words, he was harming the interests of the country. No matter which country it was, there were many officials like this. The ambition in Xing Feng's bones had already taken root and sprouted. He wanted to take the dragon group for himself. Only when he had a strong power in his hands would others not dare to do anything to him. He didn't want to be a puppet for the rest of his life. There was no doubt that Louis's words had struck a chord in his heart, and he was hesitant. Looking at Xing Feng's fluctuating expression, Louis walked to the sofa and sat down. He crossed his legs and waited for Xing Feng. A long time later, Xing Feng abruptly turned his head and stared at Louis. "What can you give me?" "I can let you truly control a powerful force, such as the Dragon Group," Louis said solemnly. "What do you mean by truly controlling?" Xing Feng asked. "Let the Dragon Group become a blade in your hand. They will only listen to your orders and attack wherever you point." Xing Feng's heart leaped. Wasn't this the result that he had been waiting for? Although his control over the Dragon Group was already very strong, and even his adjutant, Kai Guibin, had been kicked away by him, he still couldn't control the Dragon Group. But when it came to major issues, an order from above would completely surpass his usual cultivation. No matter how much he tried to win people's hearts, there would always be someone who didn't listen to his orders at the critical moment. There were even some spies in the Dragon Group. If he did something overboard, some people would know. At that time, a single order could remove him from his position. Pinching him to death would be like pinching an ant. He understood this principle too well. Everything he had now was based on the support of his backer. Without this foundation, even if he built a skyscraper, it would be a castle in the air that could be destroyed at any time. But if it was really like what Lewis said, and the dragon group became a blade in his hand, then no one would be able to take it away. Then his strength would not be affected by others. Wasn't this what he dreamed of? Although his expression was calm, his heart was already in turmoil. He asked, "Words are not proof. I don't believe that you can do this. People's hearts are hard to predict. Don't tell me that you can bribe everyone." Group leader Xing, there are not many things in this world that are impossible. Isn't there a saying in your country? Nothing in this world is impossible for those who set their mind on it. I can tell you clearly that you can make everyone listen to your orders. Seeing that Lewis did not seem to be joking, Xing Feng finally couldn't help but be moved. He curiously asked, "How can it be done? You just said something wrong. We don't want to bribe everyone. We want to control everyone and make them treat you as their master. How can a servant go against their master's orders? Please tell me more details." Xing Feng lowered his voice and looked at the other side eagerly. Lewis said in his heart, "You finally took the bait." Without changing his expression, he said, "Soul control technique. Control a person's soul and make them your slave. They will only listen to your orders. Of course, normally this person is no different from an ordinary person. But a seed will be planted in their heart." Xing Feng's body trembled. A chill ran from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. He asked, "Is there really such a method in this world?" "Of course. I can teach you right away. This isn't martial arts, but magic, right? This is a secret technique. It doesn't have to be used by cultivators. Ordinary people like you and me can also do it." Xing Feng understood the power of the soul control technique. Looking at Lewis, he had a fear of facing a devil. If he used this technique on himself, then wouldn't he also become a puppet? Of course, he didn't want to become a puppet. But if he didn't agree, then the other party might really become a puppet. He understood how vicious these Western people were. Moreover, this was also something he dreamed of. Thus, he clenched his teeth and nodded, "Okay, I agree. Happy cooperation." Chapter 533. Ordinary Balance. In the streets and alleys, the atmosphere of the new year was getting thicker and thicker. It was already the 28th of December. Tang Zheng prepared to buy New Year goods. In the past, in order to save money, he and his grandfather lived a simple life every year. This time, he was prepared to do a good job. However, the only thing that made him feel that there were some flaws was that after Lan Yu personally came to visit his grandfather in the morning, the two of them muttered something. The old man suggested that Lan Yu stay for the new year and Lan Yu happily agreed. Thus, this time, there was an extra Lan Yu to buy New Year goods and Marshall was sent back to the martial organization by Lan Yu, allowing her to go back to the martial organization's sect master so that he would not worry. Marshall reluctantly gave Tang Zheng a few glances, as if to demonstrate to Tang Zheng that he should not go overboard and disrespect his master's wife. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it and ignored it. Marshall was so angry that he almost rolled up his sleeves and rushed up to fight with him. After Marshall left, only Tang Zheng and Lan Yu were left. In order to avoid awkwardness, he called out Fang Shishir. The three of them went to buy New Year goods together. Lan Yu always had a smile on her face as she looked at Tang Zheng with a gaze that seemed to be able to melt people, showing the demeanor of a loving mother. Fang Shishir secretly sized up the two of them and playfully stuck out her tongue. She understood that there was a grudge between the two that had not been resolved, so she obediently held on to Tang Zheng's arm and shuttled through the streets. "Little Zheng, Shishir, it's New Year. I'll buy you a few new sets of clothes." Lan Yu had an idea and gently said, "No need." Tang Zheng expressionlessly refused. Lan Yu looked at Fang Shishir for help, appearing somewhat helpless and pitiful. Fang Shishir's heart softened as she shook the arm in her embrace and advised, "This is also Auntie's kind intentions. You should just accept it." "Yes, I also want to buy a few sets for the old man. The old man has worked hard for so long." It's the end of the year, so he should buy a few sets of new clothes. Lan Yu said. These words struck a chord in Tang Zheng's heart. He glanced at Lan Yu and thought to himself, "You're quite considerate." Thus, he silently nodded in agreement. Lan Yu was overjoyed and gradually understood the position of the old master in Tang Zheng's eyes. The more he cared about the old master, the higher the impression in Tang Zheng's eyes. The few of them walked into a high-end clothing store nearby. Lan Yu took a fancy to a few sets of clothes at a glance. She casually pointed and said, "Take those clothes and try them on." The shop assistant could tell at a glance that these people were not in need of money. Since a big customer had arrived, she immediately began to serve them attentively. Lan Yu held a set of clothes and gestured at Tang Zheng's body, saying, "This one is not bad. Try it on in the fitting room." Tang Zheng glanced at the price and said, "There's no need to buy such an expensive one." "It's not expensive. Even if I bought all the clothes in this store for you, it wouldn't be expensive. Moreover, it's too little. Just tell me what you like. I want to make up for the decades of unfulfilled responsibilities." Lan Yu emotionally said. When the shop assistant heard these words, she looked at Tang Zheng with a gaze that was filled with stars. She thought to herself, just what kind of person is this handsome guy to have such a unique temperament favored by such a beautiful young woman? Having money to burn. Tang Zheng curled his lips and said. Lan Yu revealed an awkward expression, but she did not flare up. She continued to smile and said, "If you don't like this store, then let's go to another one. I also feel that this store's clothes aren't that great." The shop assistant's heart sank. Her big customer was ruined. This handsome guy was too hard to serve. Who did he think he was? In truth, this brand was already considered a luxury brand in the country. Many nouveau riches liked to choose this store's clothing. At the very least, the customers who were shopping at the side were dressed well. They were definitely not rich. When they heard Lan Yu's words, their expressions clearly did not look good. However, most of them did not flare up. They only glared at Tang Zheng with disdain. But there were exceptions to everything. A fashionable woman wearing sunglasses that covered most of her face curled her lips and disdainfully said, "What are you pretending to be poor for? If you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. You still have the nerve to come here and pretend to be rich. Hee, there are too many of these kinds of people in the country right now. It's no wonder that so many foreigners look down on Huaxia people." A man beside her laughed arrogantly. "Young Master Jun, you've been abroad for so many years. You must not be used to seeing such things when you return, right?" The woman in sunglasses looked up at the man and asked in a fawning manner. The man laughed arrogantly and said, "Of course. But the quality of the people in the country is so low. What can I do?" "That's right. As a fellow countryman of these people, I feel terrible," the woman in sunglasses said sweetly. Tang Zheng wrinkled his eyebrows. He was already suppressing a wave of anger in his heart. These two people's slanderous words simply hit the muzzle of his gun. If you can't stand it, then get out yourself. No one wants you to look. If you want to go abroad to be a dog, no one will stop you. Don't bark here and disturb people's peace," Tang Zheng said in a bad mood. These words were like poking a hornet's nest. Originally, the two people were only prepared to be sarcastic and treat it as entertainment. They have already done this kind of thing many times. Most people would choose to swallow their anger, but Tang Zheng actually bluntly turned the tables on them. The two people were furious. The woman in sunglasses hugged the man's arm, her towering breasts continuously rubbing against him. She said sweetly, "Young Master Jun, what did you hear him say? He actually dares to scold us." The man's eyes flashed with an ominous light. He waved his hand outside the store. Two black-clothed bodyguards walked in and respectfully bowed to the man. "Young Master Jun, teach them a lesson. Let them remember in the future," the man ordered. "Yes." The two large men like iron towers walked straight towards Tang Zheng's group. Without saying a word, their hammer-like fists smashed over. Tang Zheng coldly snorted. He was preparing to counterattack and teach the other side a lesson, but there was one person who moved faster than him. Lan Yu's feet slipped and blocked the bodyguard's path. She placed her hands on the other's shoulders and the two people flew out of the store like sandbags. They heavily fell on the floor, their heads broken and bleeding. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. This scene made everyone temporarily lose their ability to speak. They stared at Lan Yu dumbfoundedly. Her frail body couldn't be compared to the two bodyguards, but the strength she erupted with was truly terrifying. How could a young woman with an elegant temperament have such terrifying battle strength? The man was also stunned. His pupils couldn't help but shrink as he said, "Who are you?" Lan Yu turned a deaf ear to him and said, "You dare to scold my son? You're really tired of living. Then I'll do as you wish." Step by step, she approached the other side. The aura of Mount Tai pressing down on the other side made the other side's chest feel like a boulder was pressing down on them. Their faces instantly became as white as paper. The woman in sunglasses trembled. She desperately grabbed the man's arm and screamed in panic, "You! What are you doing? If you don't want to live, then die." Lan Yu stretched out her finger and lightly pointed. However, Tang Zheng could faintly hear the sound of wind and thunder. If they were hit, then with the two people's bodies, they would immediately lose their lives. He didn't expect Lan Yu's reaction to be so agitated. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. He didn't know that Lan Yu was very protective of her son. She had always blamed herself for not protecting her son well, resulting in the separation of mother and son for more than 20 years. So now she felt a little scared. If anyone dared to threaten Tang Zheng, she would definitely not show mercy. Not only did these two people speak rudely, but they also let their followers teach Tang Zheng a lesson. This was stepping on the high-tension line in her heart. Of course she was going to explode. Moreover, it was anger that had been accumulated over the years. How could these two people withstand it? Tang Zheng's eyelids suddenly jumped. Lan Yu really did not show any mercy. Although he also felt that these two people were repulsive, their crimes did not warrant death. So, he immediately shouted, "Stop!" Lan Yu's finger stopped in front of the two people. The two people looked like they had just returned from the gates of hell. Their bodies were dripping with sweat and trembling non-stop. Lan Yu turned her head to look at Tang Zheng and asked, "How do you want to deal with them? Their crimes don't warrant death. Just casually teach them a lesson." Tang Zheng said. Lan Yu nodded and said, "The two of you are lucky. My son is merciful and spared your lives. However, the death penalty can be avoided, but the punishment cannot be forgiven." As soon as her voice fell, two slaps rang out. Finger marks immediately appeared on the two people's faces. The sunglasses of the woman in sunglasses also fell to the ground and shattered, revealing her true face. It had to be said that she did indeed have a beautiful face. Moreover, it was very pure. However, compared to this pure face, her words and actions formed a contrast. Even if this kind of person had a beautiful appearance, it was still just a rotten skin bag. Wah, Lu Yenran. So she is Lu Yenran. Suddenly, a cry of surprise rang out. Everyone's eyes quickly focused on the face of the woman in sunglasses. Fang Shishir also looked at the other person in shock. She covered her mouth and said in disbelief, "It's her. A big star." The woman in sunglasses quickly covered her face and shook her head in denial, "I'm not her. You've got the wrong person." She ran out in panic, but her feet slipped and she fell to the ground in a sorry state. Another cry of surprise rang out. However, she did not dare to stay. She crawled up and covered her face before continuing to run. Scram! Lan Yu glared at the man. The man felt as if he had been pardoned. He did not even dare to breathe loudly. He quickly rushed out, ignoring the unconscious bodyguards on the ground. "Is this woman very famous?" Tang Jing curiously asked. Fang Shishir said in disbelief, "Wah, you actually don't know her? Are you from another planet?" She is currently a popular A-list female star. She is known as the fairy sister and is the representative of the youthful jade girls. Tang Zheng curled his lips. He really did not care about celebrities in the entertainment industry. Before, he was wholeheartedly focused on his studies. How could he have the leisure to pay attention to these things? However, when he heard that this person was known as the fairy sister, the youthful jade girl, he could not help but snort. The entertainment industry was really a mix of bad people. If this kind of person could be called a youthful jade girl, it would be more appropriate to call her a lustful woman. Her temperament could not be compared to Ling Er. One was on the ground while the other was in the sky. If Ling Er enters the entertainment industry, she will definitely be able to beat this Lu Yenran. He was full of confidence. That's right. I heard that her hometown is Ordinary Balance. So it must be her. This time we offended a big star. Will there be any problems? Fang Shishir nervously asked. Chapter 534. Lan Yu heard this and said with a murderous look, daring to have any ideas about you, that is seeking death. When the others heard this, they were silent like cicadas in winter. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. Many customers left the store one after another. Seeing the shop assistant's respectful eyes and not daring to breathe, Tang Zheng could not help but feel bored. He held Fang Shishir's hand and walked out. Lan Yu hurriedly chased after them and suggested with a smile, "Let's go to another clothing store." When Tang Zheng walked into the fitting room with a set of clothes, Lan Yu let out a sigh of relief and muttered to herself, "This is the first time I've bought clothes for my son. I really am an incompetent mother." Fang Shishir advised, "Auntie, this is not your fault. There will be opportunities in the future." "But he did not forgive me," Lan Yu said with disappointment. Fang Shishir held Lan Yu's hand and said softly, "Let time heal this wound. He is actually a very kind person. He has seen and remembered all your efforts." Lan Yu smiled confidently and said, "Thank you, Shishir. You really are a good girl." Fang Shishir smiled faintly. Creak. The fitting room's door opened and Tang Zheng walked out looking brand new. As the saying goes, Buddha relies on gold and people rely on clothes. Tang Zheng was originally a little handsome, but now his temperament had changed greatly. When he walked out, everyone could not help but feel their eyes light up. He was not shockingly handsome, but the temperament that was imperceptibly revealed made people feel deep respect and unwilling to look away. Too handsome. Lan Yu praised from the bottom of her heart. She subconsciously wanted to straighten his collar. When her hand touched his collar, the two of them were stunned. Because this action was too natural and too intimate. Tang Zheng did not feel disgusted. Instead, he felt a faint warmth. Lan Yu nervously retracted her hand and said in a panic, "Sorry, I couldn't help myself." It was the most simple feeling of a mother for her son. It was human nature. Tang Zheng kept a straight face and didn't say much. He straightened his collar and asked Fang Shishir, "What do you think?" Fang Shishir's eyes sparkled. To be honest, she and Tang Zheng had known each other for a long time. She was very familiar with his appearance. But looking at the person she loved standing in front of her at this moment, she couldn't help but fall into a trance. This was completely different from the dull Tang Zheng who only knew how to study in high school. Not only did his appearance change slightly, but his temperament was also completely different. If a former classmate saw him, they definitely wouldn't dare to recognize him. Of course, it was a good thing that her boyfriend had become more handsome and attractive. Fang Shishir smiled and nodded. "Very handsome. Auntie has good taste. This set of clothes seems to be tailor-made for you." When Lan Yu heard this, she also smiled like a flower. "Then buy it." Tang Zheng glanced at the overjoyed Lan Yu and said expressionlessly. Immediately, Lan Yu became even happier. After visiting a few clothing stores, they all had their gains. They carried bags of various sizes, but Lan Yu clearly carried the most. This was because she snatched most of the bags from Tang Zheng's hands, as if she was afraid that Tang Zheng would be tired. If not for Tang Zheng's final insistence, she probably wouldn't even let Tang Zheng carry anything. Tang Zheng couldn't help but roll his eyes. This was simply spoiling. A loving mother spoiled the son. A child raised by such a mother was absolutely spoiled. Where are we going now? Lan Yu asked. Home. Tang Zheng stopped a taxi and the three of them sat in. Lan Yu rolled her eyes and said, Little Zheng, I'll buy you a car. It'll be convenient for you to travel. What kind of car do you like? I'm a student. Why would I drive? I see that there are also students who drive. It's more convenient to have a car. No need. Moreover, if I want to buy a car, I have the money to buy it myself. Tang Zheng was speechless. Lan Yu seemed to want to use sugar-coated bullets to corrode him. There were all kinds of branded clothes and cars. Did he become a rich second generation? He couldn't help but laugh. When they returned home, Tang Dahai was also back. During the spring festival, his recycle bin was temporarily closed for vacation. This was his last day of work. Old man, these are the clothes I bought for you. Try them on. Lan Yu carried a few bags and handed them to Tang Dahai. Tang Dahai retracted his hand as if he had been electrocuted and resentfully said, How can this be? I'm an old man. Why would I wear those? It's a waste of money. No need, no need. It's not worth much. Old man, just take it. You raised little Zhang and now it's time for you to enjoy life. Lan Yu said. Tang Dahai's eyes were a little red. He glanced at Tang Zheng and embarrassedly said, Still have clothes. Why would I need to wear new clothes? Tang Zheng was the clearest about his grandfather's situation. In the past, it was rare for him to buy new clothes. Many of them were washed until they were white. Grandfather, since I bought it for you, just accept it. Tang Zheng advised. Hearing his grandson say this, Tang Dahai embarrassedly accepted the clothes and hurriedly thanked, Then I really can't thank you enough. This is what I should do. Lan Yu's heart also softened. She thought that little Zhang was lucky to have met such a grandfather. The atmosphere eased a lot. Tang Dahai put away the clothes and conveniently left Lan Yu to eat. He then went into the kitchen to cook. Lan Yu also enthusiastically entered the kitchen, saying that she wanted to help the old man. The two sat on the sofa. Fang Shishir leaned into Tang Zheng's embrace and looked at the kitchen. She lowered her voice and said, Auntie is pretty good. You don't have to be so cold to her. Don't get involved in this matter. Fang Shishir pouted and said, Mother and son are connected by heart. What kind of deep hatred can there be? Moreover, Auntie has always wanted to make up for it. You should give her a chance. Tang Zheng's expression did not change as he declined to comment. Fang Shishir glared at him and said, Stubborn. You don't know how to be flexible. My matter with her is too complicated. It is not something that can be fixed with just a few words. It is also not something that can be fixed with some small favors. Since there is a crack, then work hard to fix it. You can't always keep people 1,000 miles away. Fang Shishir retorted. Tang Zheng lowered his head and looked at her. He scratched her nose and suspiciously asked, Have you been bribed by her sugar-coated bullets? Nonsense. How could I be bribed? I have always been on the same side as you. I am only advising you. In the end, the one who makes the decision is still you. Creak. Suddenly, the door opened, interrupting the two of them. Linger skipped in, followed by a person, hello boss. I am sending Miss Linger back. Greeted Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng nodded. Looking at Linger who was like a little magpie, his heart couldn't help but feel warm. He asked, Linger, how have you been these 2 days? Linger tilted her head, blinked her eyes, and playfully said, Linger is very happy and has also learned a lot of new knowledge. In the past, Linger thought that singing was easy, but now I find that there is a lot of new knowledge to learn. Me praised from the side, Miss Linger is talented and intelligent. Moreover, she is very talented in singing. Although she has never studied music systematically before, and it is a bit late for an ordinary person to cram for Buddha's feet at the last minute, for Miss Linger, this problem doesn't exist at all. She is a genius. She can learn any song sheet at a glance. Moreover, she has a photographic memory. She is the most powerful person I have seen in so many years. She is even better than the music genius Lu Yenran, who is now known as the fairy sister. Lu Yenran. Tang Zheng's pupils shrank. He remembered the scene in the clothing store. Since Linger wanted to enter the entertainment industry, then it was necessary for her to understand some of the people or things in it. Looking at Tang Zheng's reaction, Imi misunderstood and asked, "Is the boss also a fan of Lu Yenran? If there is a chance in the future, I will ask the boss to meet her. She is a popular star, and a typical representative of singing and acting. She has dabbled in singing, movies, and TV series. She is a real star with 3 lives. I heard that her contract with her old company is about to expire. If our company can sign her, then it will definitely be a good start for our company." Imi thought that if she could sign Lu Yenran, then it wouldn't be long before her name as a gold medal manager would be known throughout the entertainment industry. Tang Jing frowned and said coldly, "My company will definitely not sign an artist like Lu Yenran." Imi, who was immersed in joy, was stunned as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on her. She stared at Tang Zheng and asked, "Why? If a person's character is not good, then even if she is popular now, my company does not need an artist with such a character problem." Tang Zheng said firmly. Imi was very embarrassed and said, "There are some rumors outside, but the flaws do not obscure the beauty. Her appeal is still very amazing. She is the target of many companies. Just a flash in the pan." Tang Zheng did not hide his disdain. Seeing the disappointment on Ami's face, Tang Zheng's face sank. He looked at Imi very seriously and said, "Since you have joined my company, then I must seriously warn you that my company has a rule, and that is people with bad character should not even think about stepping into this door. Moreover, the unspoken rules of the entertainment industry do not apply to me, so you must change your way of thinking. Otherwise, sooner or later you will also pack your bags and leave." Although Imi was a sissy, he wasn't stupid. He had mastered the basic skill of observing people's body language. Seeing the boss so serious, he didn't dare to talk back. He quickly changed his attitude and said, "Boss, I understand. Although Lu Yenran is popular, she is also a troublemaker. The internet revealed that she had a fierce conflict with someone today and was even slapped in the face. Now the internet is in a heated debate. Her fans are thinking of ways to find the person who hit her. It is said that they want to take revenge for her." Tang Jing froze for a moment and looked at Fang Shishir. The person who revealed this must be someone from the scene today. But he did not think that those fans would want to take revenge for her and deal with the Wuzong sect leader's wife. Chapter 535. Looking at the strange expressions of Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir, Imi thought for a while and asked curiously, "Boss, do you also know about this matter?" Tang Zheng smiled and pointed to Lan Yu's back, saying, "The person they want is right there." Looking at Lan Yu's graceful back, Imi exclaimed and covered her mouth, saying, "It turns out that you were the ones who had a conflict with Lu Yenran today." Tang Zheng nodded, "I saw it with my own eyes. I have a deeper understanding than those fans who are deceived by appearance. I know that this kind of person can't stay popular for long." Imi lowered her head in shame. She had just mistakenly thought that the boss was Lu Yenran's fan and flattered him. Imi, with your professional vision, do you think that Linger will replace Lu Yenran in the future? Tang Zheng asked. Imi clapped her hands and said without hesitation, "Of course, Lu Yenran is not a fairy sister. Linger is the real fairy sister. She can definitely beat her." He paused for a moment and had an idea. His eyes lit up as he said, boss, I've thought of a brilliant idea. Why not just pick a day? Anyway, now that Lu Yanran's incident is making a ruckus, we can push out Miss Ling Air at this time. We can use this opportunity to shift everyone's attention to this new fairy sister. This way, we can achieve twice the result with half the effort. Oh, will it work? It will definitely work. The Spring Festival is coming soon and people are on holiday. More and more people will pay attention to entertainment news and more people will pay attention to Linger. AI Me was full of confidence. Tang Zheng was not familiar with these methods. He was good at delegating power, so he nodded and said, "Okay, you can discuss it with President Mu." "Yes, boss." AI Me nodded excitedly, "Boss, then I won't disturb you. Goodbye." After sending AI Me off, Linger looked at herself in the mirror and asked, "Master, that Lu Yanran is really beautiful, and her singing is also very good. Can I compare to her?" Tang Zheng patted her head and encouraged her, "Linger, you have to remember that you are 100 times better than her. You have to have confidence." Linger raised her head and looked at Tang Zheng. She smiled and nodded, and Linger will remember this. Linger will definitely work hard. At this moment, Xing Feng was also working very hard, because he wanted to get the life-continuing pill before the end of the year and report to the people above. Therefore, he had already plotted with the Song and Chu family. Not only that, he had also borrowed the power of the Rockefeller family, and was prepared to use 2 methods to force the Yen family obediently to hand over the life-continuing pill. In the middle of the night, Yen Padian was woken up by urgent knocks on the door. If it wasn't for the fact that it was extremely urgent, no one would dare to knock on his door in the middle of the night and disturb his rest. The door opened and Yen Qishan impatiently walked in with a panicked expression. Yen Padian sat on the chair, glanced at his son, and frowned. "What are you panicking for? What happened?" He knew that his son had always been a calm person. Normal matters would never cause him to panic like this. "Father, something happened. Lu Yun was arrested by the police," Yen Qishan said. Yen Potion's expression did not change, and asked, "Why was he arrested by the police?" "Drugs, a large amount of drugs were found in his car," Yen Qishan said indignantly. "Didn't our Yen family never touch that thing? Could it be that all of you have ignored my warnings?" Yen Padian was furious. Not only could drugs destroy a person, they could also destroy a family. Many nouveau riche or celebrity artists like to seek excitement from it, but for a large family like the Yen family, the people of the family were definitely not allowed to touch this thing. Seeing his father's anger, Yen Qishan hurriedly explained, "Father, Lu Yun will remember your teachings. He definitely did not touch this thing. Someone is framing him." Yen Padian calmed down. He was still very satisfied with this grandson of his, and understood that it was indeed impossible for him to risk the world's condemnation to do such a thing. However, someone dared to extend their hand so far to frame his grandson, Yen Padian. This made him have no choice but to be cautious. "Have you found out who it is?" Yen Qishan shook his head. "Son is incompetent. I haven't found out yet." The police refused to negotiate. They were determined to make this an ironclad case. "Father, could it be that the officials above want to touch our family?" Yen Padian scoffed, and said, "No, if the officials above really want to touch the Yen family, they won't use such a small trick." Yen Qishan heaved a sigh of relief, and said, "In addition, our family's overseas industry seems to have been attacked by an unknown enemy, and a few factories have suffered losses." Yen Potion's pupils constricted, and said, "This is a 2-pronged attack, one outside and one inside. Are you really determined to deal with our Yen family?" No matter who this person is, he obviously came prepared. "What exactly are they up to?" Yen Qishan said worriedly. "Your scheme is not small. No matter who it is, go and find out immediately. I want to see who exactly ate the guts of a leopard," Yen Padian said with a murderous aura. "Hee, it's the middle of the night, the Yen family is very lively. Do you mind if I come and watch the show?" A burst of noisy footsteps rang out as a group of people swaggered in. The person in the lead was Xing Feng. Yen Padian and Yen Qishan looked at each other. Their hearts were as clear as a mirror, and they immediately knew who the mastermind behind this series of actions was. Xing Feng. He actually went against the Yen family at all costs. Last time, he couldn't get the life-continuing pill, so he decided to use force this time. Many Yen family guards rushed out from all directions, surrounding this group of people in the middle. Their expressions were unfriendly as they stared at them covetously. "Master, we can't stop them," the guard reported. Yen Padian waved his hand, dismissed the guards, looked at Xing Feng and said, "Xing Feng, isn't your table manners too ugly to actually use such a clumsy method?" Xing Feng walked straight to a chair and sat down. He said with a smile that was not a smile, "Xing, have never cared about my methods. I only care about the results." "So you're saying that you can do anything to achieve your goal, and even extort money?" Yen Padian suppressed his anger and asked. Xing Feng fearlessly looked into Yen Potion's eyes and said, "You can understand it that way." Yen Padian was bewildered, and said, "Do you think that this will be enough to make my Yen family submit? You're underestimating the Yen family too much." "Hee, I don't dare to underestimate the Yen family, so I've made ample preparations. In the third generation of the Yen family, Yen Luyun is the only child. If something were to happen to him, then wouldn't the Yen family be without descendants? Even if he had such a huge family business, who would he pass it down to in the future? It's really a pity that such a big family can't be passed down." This was indeed a fatal weakness of the Yen family. Yen Qishan was furious. "Xing Feng, you are playing with fire, do you know that? If anything happens to Luyun, I will definitely not let you off." Xing Feng snorted coldly, and laughed. "You want to kill me, right? Then please go ahead. I also want to know how the Yen family will deal with me if they kill me." Xing Feng was right, he was not a small soldier, but the person in charge of the dragon group. Even if the Yen family had a huge business, if they were to kill him, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. It would not be easy for the Yen family to have a perfect ending. Therefore, the Yen family would definitely not take this risk, which was why Xing Feng dared to be so fearless. Yen Padian obviously understood this point. He coldly stared at the unbridled Xing Feng, and said, "In the past, I only heard that you relied on the Long family's wings and were good at flattery. I never thought that you would have such methods and courage. You really hid it well." "You flatter me." Xing Feng cupped his fists and said shamelessly. "I know that you are seeking the life-continuing pill. If I don't hand it over to you, are you really going to kill my grandson?" Yen Padian asked. "You all know that I don't want this thing, but the people above. If I can't hand over the life-continuing pill, then I won't be able to keep this black hat on my head. Do you think I will take the risk and kill your grandson?" Xing Feng said with a fake smile. Xing Feng could take the risk, but he did not dare to. If anything happened to Yen Luyun, then the Yen family would be extinct. Who would pass down such a huge family business to? This was a great disrespect to his ancestors, so Yen Padian could not do such a thing. "Not only did you scheme to frame Luyun, you even attacked my Yen family's factory overseas. Your dragon group's hands are really long, even your overseas relations are so strong." Xing Feng snorted twice, but did not reply. If he did not have the secret help of the Rockefeller family, it would not be easy for the dragon group to threaten the Yen family's factory in the open sea. However, his cooperation with the Rockefeller family was a top secret, and no outsiders were allowed to know about it, so he did not pick up the topic. Yen Padian stared straight at Xing Feng, wanting to see through his trump card, but Xing Feng had hidden it deep enough, and for a moment, he really could not see through it. "Have you two made up your mind? Time waits for no one. Many media outlets are already waiting outside the police station. As long as this explosive news is exposed, there will be no way to salvage it." Xing Feng asked. "Father." Yen Qishan looked at his father. Yen Padian waved his hand, indicating for him to calm down, and instructed, "Qishan, go and get 2 life-continuing pills." "Father, you absolutely can't. The life-continuing pill is too precious. Yan Qishan did not expect his father to compromise, and hurriedly advised. Although the life-continuing pill is miraculous, it is still a dead object. My grandson's life is worth more than 2 life-continuing pills. Yan Padian said heroically. Seeing that the other party had compromised, Xing Feng was overjoyed. He pushed his luck and said, back then, your family bought 5 life-continuing pills, and you only gave me 2 of them and you want to settle the matter? Yan Padian raised his thick eyebrows, and with a bang, he slammed his palm on the wooden table beside him. With a kacha sound, the wooden table turned into pieces. Xing Feng, don't push your luck. Otherwise, I really won't let you walk out of my Yan family's door today. Yan Padian flew into a rage, his overwhelming aura causing Xing Feng's chest to feel suffocated. Xing Feng's heart skipped a beat. He knew that this was already the other party's limit. If he continued to force the other party, he could only fight to the death. Chapter 536. A moment later, Yan Qishan brought over 2 brocade boxes. 2 life-continuing pills that emitted a strange fragrance lay quietly in the brocade boxes. Xing Feng's eyes burned with passion as he swallowed his saliva. He really wanted to swallow it in one gulp. 1 pill was equivalent to 10 years of life. Even a fool would want such a great fortune. He angrily suppressed his restless thoughts and put away the life-continuing pill. He smiled proudly and said, thank you. Farewell. Where's Lu Yun? Yan Qishan asked impatiently. Your son will naturally return safe and sound in a while. The overseas factory will also be safe and sound. With that, he turned around and left the Yan family with a group of people. Yan Qishan was so angry that his eyes were about to spit fire. He gritted his teeth and said, Father, who does this Xing Feng think he is? He dares to ride on top of our Yan family. This is too infuriating. However, Yan Padian gradually calmed down and said calmly, a tall tree attracts the wind. This is a principle that has never changed since ancient times. It seems that the Yan family has flourished for so long, but in the eyes of some people, it has become a big piece of fat meat. Everyone wants to take a bite. You're not afraid of knocking your teeth out. If our teeth are good, we might really be able to tear off a piece of fat from our bodies. Qishan, the world is about to change. Yan Padian sighed with emotion. No way, right? Yan Qishan exclaimed in disbelief. Your senses are still too slow. Can't you see that the power of the officials has grown stronger and stronger over the years? In the past, they still had to rely on us, but now, they are deliberately distancing themselves from us. Didn't you notice that the officials who are familiar with us are all keeping their distance from us step by step? With his father's reminder, Yan Qishan seemed to have been enlightened and suddenly came to a realization. Father, if you didn't say it, I really wouldn't have noticed it. Now that I think about it, the officials who have been on good terms with us in the past 2 years have indeed been distancing themselves from us step by step. Therefore, the officials are playing a huge game of chess, slowly weakening the influence of our great families. In the early days of the country's founding, because the large families had sufficient manpower, financial, and material resources, it was a huge fortune for this country that was lacking in resources. That was why the government tolerated our existence. Following the development and changes of the era, all of this will quietly change. This is the inevitability of the era. If you do not recognize this point, then it will definitely end in a tragedy. Yan Padian said resentfully. As the saying goes, when all the birds are gone, the good bough is hidden, when the cunning hare is dead, the hound is cooked. This had always been the case throughout the ages. Yan Padian was not sad, nor was he angry, because if it was him, he would have done the same. The strength of the various great families was enormous. If their influence was not weakened, then many of the decisions made by the government would not be carried out. If it were anyone else, they would take action. Of course, in this modern society, things were much gentler. They only weakened the influence. As long as you knew when to advance and when to retreat, there would still be a good outcome in the end. Father, could it be that handing over the life-continuing pill this time is a signal to the higher-ups? Yan Qishan asked as if he had understood something. Yan Padian looked at his son with admiration, and said, "Smart, this is a signal to let the people above to be at ease with our Yan family, and not to treat our Yan family as a thorn in their side. After all, our Yan family is the biggest among the few families, and it would be difficult for us not to become a target." Yan Qishan said indignantly, "Don't tell me we don't have any countermeasures? Just like that, we're at the mercy of others." Yan Padian laughed unfathomably. "The world is changing, who can say for sure?" Yan Qishan seemed to be deep in thought. Suddenly, his heart moved as he thought of Yan Qingyi's prophecy. He said in bewilderment, "Qingyi said that there will be a calamity in this world. When the time comes, the world will change, and Tang Zheng will turn the tide. We maintain a close relationship with Tang Zheng, maybe we can use this opportunity to seek a turnaround." Immediately, Yan Qishan looked at his father with eyes full of worship. His father was indeed resourceful, and had already calculated this move. That was why he did not hesitate to offend the holy maiden of Li Palace to protect Tang Zheng. Now, it seemed that the decision back then was really too wise. He had prepared for a rainy day and fought for another possibility for the Yan family. Yan Poshan's smile became even more unfathomable as he said, "We are unable to predict what will happen in the future. Let's do our best and leave it to fate. This time, Qingyi will go to the northwest to see that towering tree and see if she can gain anything." Yan Qishan nodded. From the looks of it, although his sister had never practiced martial arts before, she had fought for a lot of opportunities for the Yan family in this crucial matter. She had played a greater role than her brother. He couldn't help but be impressed by his father's foresight. When Yan Qingyi became a monk, he had truly become the laughingstock of many people, thinking that it was a great shame for the Yan family. Not only did her father not object, he even supported her outrageous actions. But now, it seemed that she did not have any cultivation in the martial way, but she was becoming more and more proficient in the mysterious art of foretelling the future. Qishan, from now on, our Yan family must be united in order to reverse the situation. Furthermore, we must remember that other than you and me, no third person is allowed to know about today's matter. Yan Padian warned sternly. Yan Qishan was shocked, and hurriedly asked, "Are you not going to tell Lu Yun?" Yan Padian snorted, and said, "Although he is innocent, he has fallen into the enemy's trap. Thus, in short, his experience is still too lacking, and he needs to sharpen it a little." Yan Qishan sighed inwardly, but he had no way to refute his son. After all, Yan Luyun had indeed caused the Yan family to fall into a passive situation this time. Speak of the devil. Yan Luyun walked in with his head lowered, looking rather miserable as he called out nervously, "Grandfather, Dad, I'm back." Yan Qishan frowned, and shouted angrily, "Look at what you've done." This time, the Yan family suffered a huge loss in front of Xingfeng, and lost 2 life-continuing pills. Yan Luyun turned pale with fright, and said, "How can you give him such a precious life-continuing pill? If you don't give it to him, will you be able to come back safe and sound?" Yan Qishan reprimanded in annoyance. Actually, Yan Qishan was quite satisfied with this son of his. Yan Luyun was not like the rich second generation of the other families, who only knew how to eat, drink, and play. He was undoubtedly the #1 figure among the young masters in the capital. "For me, you actually lost 2 life-continuing pills. It's not worth it," Yan Luyun said in shame. Yan Padian smiled faintly, and said, "Life-continuing pills are just dead objects in the end, and you are our grandson. Of course, your life is not something that 2 life-continuing pills can compare to." Seeing his grandfather say that, Yan Luyun was even more ashamed and dejected. "It's all because Lu Yun is useless." "Raise your head," Yan Padian shouted, "It's just a small setback. Could it be that I've knocked you down? You have to remember, you are a son of the Yan family. How can you admit defeat so easily?" Yan Luyun's mind shook. He raised his head, his gaze firm. "Yes, Yan Luyun will remember grandfather's teachings." "You were framed this time. Do you know who did it?" Yan Padian asked. A fierce glint appeared in Yan Luyun's eyes, and he said coldly, "Of course I know. What should I do? You know, right?" Yan Luyun nodded. Yan Luyun understands. Although the Yan family had compromised with Xing Feng, it did not mean that the Yan family could be framed by others. The one who framed Yan Luyun this time was also a rich family's son, who usually had a good relationship with Yan Luyun. Yan Luyun was not on guard at all, which was why he was caught off guard. Towards the other party's betrayal, Yan Luyun hated him to the bones, so of course he would not let him off easily. As for how Xing Feng had bribed the other party, he did not care. Actually, this was not because Xing Feng had bribed the other party, but because of the work of the two young masters, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng. They understood these hedonistic sons better than Xing Feng, so they were very clear about their weaknesses and hit them with a single strike. Yan Liuyun's anger was obviously not something that could be extinguished so easily. That night, he started his crazy revenge. In the end, the young master's sports car was found to have fallen off a cliff, and the car was destroyed and he died. Some people who knew the details naturally guessed that all of this was Yan Liuyun's revenge, but no one stood out to criticize him, because this was the fate of a pawn. As for the other party's family business, it also suffered a thunderous blow. Not long after, it was completely defeated, beaten down to the mortal world, and shattered into pieces. Tang Zheng, who was thousands of miles away, did not know of these matters, nor did he know that the Yan family had already made him their most important partner, thus replacing the position of Li Palace. The night was dark and the wind was strong. Tang Zheng stood alone at the peak of the back mountain of Ordinary Balance Mountain. The ground was faintly covered in white snow, and there were few people around. The surroundings were pitch black, and the silence was frightening. Overlooking the cliff below, the past was vivid in his mind. The first time he had refined the life-continuing pill was here, and the heaven-fragrant flower was also picked on this cliff. Thus, this place left him with too many memories. Standing here once again, he felt completely different. Looking at the 10,000-foot cliff below him, and the Ordinary Balance courtyard not far away, a heroic feeling arose spontaneously. Ordinary Balance Mountain had witnessed his rise step by step, and he would definitely walk higher and further from here. Looking at the lights of the Ordinary Balance courtyard, his heart stirred. In the past, he had instructed Lin Hu and the others to completely destroy the Ordinary Balance courtyard and then replace it. After all, this was Changheng Resort, and it was the benchmark of the entertainment industry in this area. It was a place that the rich liked to visit the most, and if Tang Zheng wanted to become strong, then he had to step on this eyesore. However, before Lin Hu could carry out his plan, he encountered Xing Feng. Since he had returned this time, he would take advantage of the Spring Festival to get rid of this stumbling block. However, his goal tonight was not the Ordinary Balance courtyard, but another important mission, to refine the Dragon Origin pill. In the past, the Dragon Origin pill he refined used the blood of the five-clawed golden dragon, so its power was especially tyrannical. Chapter 537. Tang Zheng gently waved his hand and the 9 revolving pill furnace flew out of his summer bag and steadily landed on top of the mountain peak. The 9 revolving pill furnace was a mysterious grade magic treasure and it emitted a mysterious aura in the night. He had already prepared the medicinal ingredients and placed them into the cauldron. Then, he focused his mind and calmed his breathing as he circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll. A second-grade true fire emerged from his fingertips. The purple flame appeared somewhat enchanting in the night sky. It danced with the wind like a flame spirit dancing on his fingertips. Now his control over the true fire was very good. Although the true fire had only reached the second-grade realm, it was enough for normal alchemy. Looking at the flame on his fingertips, his heart was moved. Since he had enough flood dragon blood essence, he could refine a large amount of Dragon Origin pills. Not only for himself, but also for the people around him. Because the enemy was getting stronger, in addition to arming himself, he also had to arm others. In the future, he would have to refine pills frequently. The 9 revolving pill furnace and the true fire were especially important as both of them had to be upgraded. The 9 revolving pill furnace was originally an Earth-grade magic treasure and was a rare alchemy treasure. Now that it had been restored to the mysterious grade, it was only a step away from its peak state. I must find a way to upgrade it. Tang Zheng made up his mind. In addition, the true fire in his body was a 2nd-grade true fire. There were a total of 6th-grade true fires, so his true fire was still weak and there was still a lot of room for improvement. However, this was not something that could be improved just because he said so. He still had to carefully ponder over it. He calmed himself down and with a flick of his finger, the 2nd-grade true fire flew into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and enveloped the herbs, burning and tumbling them. He continuously formed seals and one by one he sent them into the 9 revolving pill furnace. The aura of heaven and earth suddenly changed and the spiritual qi in the air was sucked into the furnace. Tang Zheng was slightly surprised. Looking at the chaotic aura of heaven and earth, he muttered to himself, the spiritual qi of this ordinary balance mountain peak is much richer than before. What is going on? He frowned. A change in spiritual qi was not a simple matter. There must be a reason for it. Suddenly, he thought of something. Could it be because of the Tree of Life? Linger had once said that the Tree of Life could improve the air quality and replenish the thin spirit qi. Could this be the result of the Tree of Life's transformation? He felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. One had to know that the Tree of Life had only appeared for a few days, and it had already improved the spirit qi of heaven and earth so quickly. He had no choice but to reevaluate the Tree of Life. This towering tree was far more miraculous than he had imagined. The Tree of Life contains such powerful spiritual energy. If I cultivate under the tree, I will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. This was truly too tempting. No cultivator would be able to resist this kind of heaven-defying temptation, and Tang Zheng was no exception. I must go there after the new year to see if I can gain anything. He secretly made up his mind. A large amount of spiritual energy was sucked into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Once the 2nd-grade true fire came in contact with the spiritual energy, it burned even more vigorously and illuminated the interior of the furnace with a sparkling purple light. Time passed little by little. The medicinal properties of the herbs were extracted and turned into a large liquid ball. It was wrapped by the true fire and was constantly rolling. The impurities in the medicinal dregs turned into gas and soared into the air before dissipating with the wind. Flood dragon blood. Tang Zheng shouted. A mass of flood dragon blood wrapped in true qi flew out from his sumra bag and was directly thrown into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Boom! It was as if the flame had encountered an accelerant. It soared into the sky, turning the entire mountain peak purple. The 9 revolving alchemy furnace also began to rapidly revolve. In the end, a vortex formed above the alchemy furnace. The spiritual energy of the world was rapidly sucked in, and a strange fragrance began to spread out from the furnace. As the sky gradually brightened, the furnace stopped rotating. The thin layer of snow on the mountain peak had completely melted. The grass and trees were nourished and glowed with vitality. 15 Dragon Origin Dawn. Looking at the golden pills in the furnace, Tang Zheng was overjoyed. Last time, he used the 5-clawed golden dragon blood to refine 10 Dragon Origin Dawn. This time, there were 15 Dragon Origin Dawn, 5 more than last time. Regarding this, he was not surprised. The Dragon Origin Dawn refined by the 5-clawed golden dragon were too overbearing, so he could only refine 10. But this time, he was able to refine 15 Dragon Origin Dawn. These were the true Dragon Origin Dawn that could be directly consumed. It was not like before where he could only consume them under certain circumstances. Otherwise, there would be a danger of his body exploding. He carefully put away the Dragon Origin Dawn and floated down the mountain. His speed was very fast and soon he arrived in front of the ordinary balance courtyard. The ordinary balance courtyard was currently being decorated to add a festive atmosphere. Lin, who had once said that before the holidays, the ordinary balance courtyard would earn a lot of money. Even the Spring Festival was no exception. This was because many people liked to invite guests to the ordinary balance courtyard. This place represented a kind of class and could increase the host's face. Although the ordinary balance courtyard was filthy, it had a good reputation among the upper echelons. Many people even brought their families here to enjoy themselves. It could almost satisfy the needs of customers of all ages. Looking at the busy ordinary balance courtyard, Tang Zheng's eyes flashed with a cold light. He sneered, "I'll let this place be glorious for a few more days. After the Spring Festival, I'll come back to clean up this mess. Song Yu, you secretly made things difficult for me, so I won't let you have an easy time. I'll start with the ordinary balance courtyard." On the 29th of December, every household was busy. Tang Zheng was no exception. He put up Spring Festival couplets and cleaned up. He was extremely busy. This was the first time that Ling had experienced such things. She was so excited that her face was red. She was busy here and there. Everything was new to her. AI, if only Nana was here. She would definitely be very happy to see so many fun things. Ling said with some disappointment. In the past few days, she had met with Nan Nan. These two girls seemed to have a tacit understanding of each other and were able to get along very well. There were many times when they would get together and play together. There was no need to mention how happy they were. Therefore, when Ling saw so many novel things, she thought of her good friend. Although Ling was physically mature, she was inexperienced. Her mind was not mature. She was equivalent to a 10-year-old child. Hearing her mention this, Tang Zheng's head slightly moved. Mu Hongyan and Nana were alone in the ordinary balance courtyard. When the Spring Festival came, it would be very lonely. Anyway, the Spring Festival was lively. He might as well call them home and have a happy Spring Festival together. When Tang Zheng proposed this to his grandfather supported it with both hands. When people were old, they wanted to have fun. Tang Zheng immediately contacted Mu Hongyan. The phone rang a few times before the other party picked up. "Tang Zheng, what's the matter?" "Sister Mu, what are you busy with?" "I'm still refining various business plans. These things will be needed after the Spring Festival. They can't be delayed." Mu Hongyan said seriously. Tang Zheng was shocked and asked, "You're still working?" Mu Hongyan was a free person. Tang Zheng left everything to her to manage. He did not expect her to work so hard. It was already the 29th of December and she was still working. "I'm at home," Mu Hongyan said with a smile. "It's the Spring Festival. Aren't you going to accompany Nana? She's playing by herself." "It's fine." "Then how are you going to celebrate the Spring Festival?" "I'm not prepared." Mu Hongyan told the truth. In the past, she had always spent the Spring Festival in the Long family. It was very lively, so she did not need to worry about these things. "Sister Mu, don't work anymore. Today, your first task is to accompany Nana and go shopping for clothes or other things. You should at least take a break at the end of the year. Tomorrow, you guys come to my house early to reunite and have New Year's Eve dinner together," Tang Zheng said without hesitation. "There's no need." "There's a need. Sister Mu, I'm the boss. This is my order. You have to follow it, understand?" Tang Zheng took out the posture of a boss and said firmly. Mu Hongyan laughed involuntarily. Don't all bosses want their employees to work hard? Where would you encourage your employees to be lazy? Let's strike a balance between work and rest. Now that you're tired, who will work for me in the future? I'm thinking far ahead. I'm serious, don't work today. The Spring Festival is too important for children. Don't neglect Nana," Tang Zheng said earnestly. Mu Hongyan turned her head and looked at her daughter who was playing alone. Her heart softened and she said, "All right, I won't be polite with you. Tomorrow, I'll bring Nana to your house." There were guests coming, so Tang Jing specially went to prepare children's toys and snacks. After being so busy, the sky turned dark. The few of them tidied up and fell asleep, conserving their energy for tomorrow's spring festival. As night fell, a gust of cold winds suddenly blew in from the window. Immediately, the room became even darker. It was as thick as ink. On the bed, Tang Dahai was lying quietly. His breathing was even and steady. It was obvious that he was sleeping soundly. Two shadows suddenly appeared in the darkness. These two shadows merged into one with the darkness. It was almost impossible to distinguish them from each other. The black shadow floated to the front of the bed and stared at the sleeping Tang Dahai with wide eyes. "Is it him?" Suddenly, one of the black shadows asked. The other black shadow nodded. "It's him. The first person who increased his lifespan was him. The source of the problem must be him. Then should we detain his soul and interrogate it? The Ghost King ordered us to get to the bottom of this. If we can't find anything, then us two brothers will suffer. So we can't care too much and detain his soul for interrogation. Humph, a person can lie when they are alive, but a soul can't lie. We'll know once we ask. But I'm afraid his lifespan will be damaged. His lifespan was already at its end. I don't know what method he used to extend his lifespan by so much, but he even gained 10 more years of lifespan. How preposterous. Even if something really happens to him, he deserves it. He only has himself to blame. The higher-ups won't blame us, right? What's there to be afraid of? When we return his soul, he won't die. Us two brothers can still guarantee that he will live for another 10 years. Humph, but these 10 years I'm afraid he will be seriously ill in bed like a living dead. But as long as he doesn't die, no one will pursue us. Chapter 538. The two shadows reached a consensus. One of them took out a bell and shook it. However, the bell didn't make any sound on purpose. However, a mysterious aura spread out and enveloped Tang Dahai. A shadow slowly floated up from his body as if it was about to leave. Bang! Suddenly, with a muffled sound, the door was fiercely pushed open. Tang Zheng stood at the door and angrily shouted, "Stop!" The two shadows were shocked and hurriedly stopped. The shadow on Tang Dahai's body returned to his body and merged with him. Tang Zheng's heart jumped. If he was late, his grandfather would have been killed by these two guys. Fortunately, he was sleeping in the living room, which was very close to his grandfather's bedroom. When he heard a little movement, he rushed in. "Ah, he can see us," cried the black shadow in panic. "Of course he can see. What are you?" Tang Zheng did not ask who they were, but what they were. This was because he had already determined that they were not human. The yin qi on their body was very dense and was quite rare. If Huang Xiang or War Spirit were here, they would definitely like this dense yin qi. After Huang Xiang returned to the ordinary balance, he was placed in a special place by Tang Zheng. War Spirit and the two shooting sun arrows were still in the hands of the martial organization sect master. The shadow looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief and asked, "Who are you? How can you see us? You just wanted to hurt my grandfather, right?" Tang Zheng asked sternly. One of the shadows had an idea and shouted, "I know, he is a cultivator. He is not a cultivator of this world. He has been expelled. How can there still be?" Seeing that the other party did not answer, Tang Zheng's face turned ashen. With such a big movement, the old man did not wake up. Then there must be a problem. In addition, Tang Zheng gradually smelled a familiar aura from the other party. It was the aura of the ghost realm. He had dealt with the ghost realm visitors several times. He was even chased by a ghost general. But the yin qi on the two was obviously stronger. If he really was a guest from the ghost realm, then he must be in existence more powerful than the ghost general. The ghost realm suddenly came here, which meant that something must have gone wrong, and it was related to his grandfather's safety. If he didn't get to the bottom of this, Tang Zheng wouldn't be able to sleep. "Since you don't want to talk, I'll capture you and slowly interrogate you," Tang Jing said sternly. His figure flashed and pounced on the other party. The other party was enraged and roared, "How dare you, a little Xiuzha dares to oppose our ghost marshal, today we'll make your soul scatter." Ghost marshal. Tang Jing remembered this term. Since they were ghost marshals, they were definitely stronger than ghost generals. Facing two ghost marshals, he didn't know if he had the confidence to win. Furthermore, this was a residential area, so many divine abilities could not be used, such as the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrows. If they were to be used, then this building would be almost destroyed. Therefore, Tang Jing used his hand as a sword and quickly thrust it out. Before the first move was over, the second move was up, and the third move was dazzling, as if there really was a sharp sword in front of his eyes that was attacking him. The ghost marshal was not a fake either. He could tell with a single glance that Tang Jing was not an ordinary cultivator. He was extremely powerful. The two of them shouted at the same time, "How dare you!" Two black lights soared into the sky, directly meeting Tang Jing's attack. The two sides immediately began to fight, flashing and moving about in this small space. The furniture was destroyed one after another, and the ground was in a mess. In the end, only the bed that Tang Dahai was sleeping on was intact. In order to protect his grandfather from being implicated, Tang Jing's strength was reduced by a few points, and it was hard to tell who would win. For a moment, no one could do anything to the other. Since such a powerful cultivator has appeared by this old man's side, then perhaps the matter of extending his lifespan is related to him, or perhaps he knows the details. Once we capture him, we can report to the Ghost King. A ghost marshal said excitedly, as if he had discovered a new continent. That makes sense. In order to avoid any trouble, we have to take him down quickly. The other agreed readily. The two of them looked at each other, and as if they had a tacit understanding, they suddenly sped up. In the blink of an eye, the room was filled with gusts of cold wind, as if they were in a ghost realm. The cold wind roared angrily, as if there were thousands of vengeful spirits coming to claim their lives. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been scared out of their wits by this scene, but Tang Jing was filled with killing intent. He was completely unaffected by the yin qi, and started to attack. Suddenly, a strong gust of cold wind blew, and a green face and fanged ghost head bit towards Tang Jing's head. Tang Jing's finger poked upwards, hitting the ghost head, and the ghost head exploded, turning into balls of black light. However, before Tang Jing could heave a sigh of relief, a biting cold wind blew from all directions, and 8 ghost heads attacked Tang Jing at the same time. There were green-faced and fanged ghost heads in front of him, and they were extremely terrifying. Tang Jing stabilized his mind. With a thought, he took out the dragon-trapped rope. Although he was unable to use the heaven-shocking bow, the dragon-trapped rope was still useful. With a shake of his arm, the dragon-trapped rope drew a circle and wrapped around the 2 ghost heads in front of him. With a sudden force, the ghost heads exploded. The other 6 ghost heads had already arrived behind Tang Jing, their eyes emitting a green light, as if they would immediately bite off a piece of flesh from Tang Jing's body. "Master, what happened?" Suddenly, Linger walked to the door and turned on the light switch. The room immediately lit up. When she saw this scene, she immediately covered her mouth in shock and almost screamed. She shouted in panic, "Who are you? I won't allow you to hurt Master." As he spoke, he rushed towards a ghost head. As if the ghost head had a mind of its own, it changed its direction and directly bit her body. "Be careful!" Tang Jing shouted in shock. This ghost head was not simple, it was condensed from yin qi and evil qi. If it was bitten, then these qi would enter the meridians and cause great harm to the human body. Linger pouted, her pink face was fiendish. She was not afraid at all. Instead, she rushed forward a few steps and said angrily, "You are not allowed to hurt Master." Just as the ghost head was about to touch Linger's skin, suddenly, a green light was emitted from her body. When the ghost head touched the green light, it immediately disappeared into thin air. Seeing that Linger was safe and sound, Tang Jing finally heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, ever since Linger had transformed into a human, he had never asked about Linger's strength. This time, seeing that the ghost head could not gain any advantage in front of Linger, he secretly guessed that although Linger was innocent, her instincts were not weak. Taking advantage of this gap, the dragon trapping rope was like a nimble dragon, constantly churning. In an instant, the remaining 5 ghost heads were eliminated. Linger, take Grandpa out, protect Grandpa. Tang Jing anxiously ordered. Master, Linger wants to protect you. Linger volunteered. They can't hurt me, Linger, your task is to protect Grandpa. Oh. Linger pouted. She seemed to be distressed and regretful that she could not protect Grandpa, but she did not object. She supported the unconscious Tang Dehai and stepped out of the house. Shangxian, do you need my help? Gui Qiansui also staggered to the door, but Xiao Bai was lying on its back, too lazy to move. It raised its head and looked at the 2 ghost commanders, as if it had no interest, and lazily lay down again. Since absorbing the magma in the cave, Xiao Bai had turned into a ball, inconvenient to move, and also became lazy. Finally, after discovering Gui Qiansui, this free mobility tool, it did not even need to walk, and spent most of its time lying on Gui Qiansui's back, letting it carry it. Regarding the little guy's mischievous appearance, Tang Zheng had no choice but to let it do as it pleased. At this moment, seeing its dull appearance, which was completely different from its previous aggressive temperament, he could not help but find it funny. You all step back, protect Grandpa and Linger, I can deal with the 2 of them alone. After a period of fighting, Tang Jing gradually figured out the strength of the other side. These 2's fighting strength was indeed higher than the Ghost General's, but after Tang Zheng had the help of the dragon trapping rope, it was obviously impossible for the other side to escape. The 2 ghost commanders also saw this point, so their expression became nervous. The 2 looked at each other and nodded, as if they had reached some kind of tacit understanding. Then, one of them took the lead to rush towards Tang Zheng, and with a wave of his hand, several ghost heads flew in front of him towards Tang Zheng. The other one took out a token. The token flashed with a black light, and the air fluctuated violently. Gotcha! It was as if the space was torn apart, and a black door suddenly appeared. There was not a trace of light behind the door. It was as dark as ink, and it was impossible to see what was behind the door. However, a dense yin qi drifted out from behind the door, causing people's hearts to tremble violently. Tang Zheng recognized the door at a glance, and exclaimed, Ghost Gate. Seeing that Tang Zheng recognized the Ghost Gate, the 2 ghost commanders' eyelids twitched. The average person did not have such knowledge, so they were certain that the increase in lifespan was definitely related to this cultivator, so they could capture him and report back. Want to escape? No way. Of course, Tang Zheng could not let these 2 escape, otherwise, what would happen if the ghost realm sent more powerful experts? Moreover, he still had not figured out what was going on. Why would the ghost commanders come to find Grandpa? Didn't Grandpa still have 10 years of lifespan? Now was not the time to reap souls, and it was even more impossible to let these 2 ghost commanders become soul reapers. There was something fishy about all of this. With a wave of his hand, the dragon trapping rope shot down several ghost heads, and Tang Zheng leaped, attacking the ghost commander near the ghost gate. He had to tie him down and prevent him from escaping back to the ghost realm. If that happened, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens to pursue him. The ghost commander seemed to be scared silly. Seeing Tang Zheng attack, he stood motionless in place, as if waiting for Tang Zheng to attack. With a wave of the dragon trapping rope, it immediately wrapped around the opponent, but the ghost commander rushed towards Tang Zheng, opening his arms and hugging Tang Zheng's waist. Tang Zheng felt a chill in his heart. What was going on? Before he could understand, he felt his back tighten. The other ghost commander had also pounced over, hugging him with both hands, one in front and one behind. The 2 of them were like drowning people grabbing onto a life-saving straw, not letting go no matter what. Then, carrying Tang Zheng, they flew into the ghost gate. Chapter 539. There was darkness in front of him, but soon, a ray of light entered his eyes. Tang Zheng could finally see his surroundings clearly. This was another world. It was incomparably dark, and the sky was also dark. This was definitely not the night, but another world. The dense yin qi reminded Tang Jing that this was the ghost realm. This was the final resting place of the dead, and definitely not a place where a living person like him should go. The yin qi was like little worms that devoured his life, trying to drill into his body and kill him. He felt a chill in his heart and subconsciously circulated the ancient scroll of Tong Tian. The warm true qi flowed through his 8 extraordinary meridians and drove away the yin qi that wanted to invade his territory. His waist loosened, and the 2 ghost commanders jumped back, eerily laughing. No matter where you come from, coming to the ghost realm means that you're already dead. Hey, now you're at our mercy. Tang Jing shivered and said, I'm standing in front of you alive, how am I dead? You're not dead right now, but you will be very soon. The ghost realm is a place where ghosts come from. You brought your body here, and it won't be long before the yin qi corrodes your body, tormenting you to death. Then we'll capture your ghost and report back. Report back? What report back? Tang Jing did not understand the others' intentions, but since they were so confident, he might as well get some information out of them. The 2 ghost commanders clearly relaxed their vigilance, and proudly said, There's no harm in telling you now. Many people in the human world suddenly have 10 more years of life. Of course we have to investigate thoroughly. In the end, we found that the source was actually that old man, so we speculated that this matter was definitely related to him. We're really too smart, guessing right. I'm afraid the culprit behind all this is you, right? Tang Jing's eyelids jumped, and he finally understood what was going on. The problem was with the life-continuing pill. Although Tang Jing did not know much about the ghost realm, from Tian Chanzi's words, he roughly understood that the ghost realm was another world that specialized in managing ghosts after death. As for the specific situation of the ghost realm, Tian Chanzi was not clear about it, because he also knew little about this strange world. Most of what he knew was from the seniors in the sect. When the ghost realm discovered that many people had suddenly gained 10 years of lifespan, they would definitely investigate and intervene. Tang Dahai, the first person who had his lifespan extended, became the primary target of investigation. Tang Jing couldn't help but feel a little regretful. The ghost realm was only investigating this matter now because there was a sudden increase in the number of people who had their lifespans extended recently. Otherwise, they would have come to investigate long ago. This was definitely related to him auctioning off the life-continuing pills. Some of those life-continuing pills must have already been consumed by others and had the effect of prolonging their lifespan. The ghost realm had discovered that there was an increase in the number of life-prolonging pills, so they started to investigate. If Tang Jing did not sell this batch of life-prolonging pills, the ghost realm would not have paid so much attention to this matter. Although the life-continuing pill is a good thing, it seems that it also has side effects. Attracting the ghost realm's investigation or pursuit for money is not a good thing. In the future, I can't wantonly refine the life-continuing pills. That would cause complete chaos and also bring me unnecessary trouble. Tang Jing silently made up his mind. Seeing that Tang Jing was silent, the 2 ghost commanders sneered, looking at your reaction, this matter was definitely done by you. We are very curious as to how you did it. Tang Jing coldly snorted and said, It's none of your business. This is related to the survival of the ghost realm, how can we not care? The ghost commander angrily roared. The survival of the ghost realm? You should have heard of reincarnation, right? Tang Jing nodded. This was Hua Xia's oldest legend, but many people were skeptical because it was too mysterious. It seems that this was not an illusion, but a real thing. Hee, foolish human, it seems that you do not know the details. That's fine, the yin qi will still take some time, so we will tell you. After all, you will know after you die. The ghost commander proudly said. Tang Jing felt that there was nothing wrong with his body. Only then did he suppress the fear in his heart and listen to the other party show off. If he missed this opportunity, it would not be easy to hear these secrets again. The ghost realm is the same as the human realm. It is just another world with a different set of operating laws. When a person's life is up, they will die and their soul will leave their body and enter the ghost realm. After a period of time, these souls will be reincarnated and enter the human realm to become a human again. Do you understand? Tang Jing suddenly understood, but he was still full of doubt and asked, "You are saying that anyone can be reincarnated after they die?" "Anyone? Huh, what a joke, of course not. Do you think that everyone is so lucky? For example, people like you who disturb the order will be thrown into the 18 layers of hell after they die. They will suffer torment and pain until their soul is scattered, completely disappearing from this world. As for others, as long as they perform well in the ghost realm, they will naturally have a chance to be reincarnated as a human. Otherwise, they will be muddle-headed and enslaved in the ghost realm for the rest of their lives." When Tang Zheng heard this, he was furious. After he died, he had to suffer the pain of the 18 layers of hell. Who set this rule? If an ordinary person heard this, they would have been scared to the point of kneeling and begging for mercy. But Tang Zheng was different. As his strength grew stronger, he became more and more confident in himself. Only the pair of fists in his hands was the absolute truth. Only then could he defend his rights and dignity. Then who decides whether a person is enslaved or reincarnated? Of course it is the King of Hell. If you are chosen by the King of Hell, then you can naturally be reincarnated earlier, or enjoy glory and wealth in the ghost realm. Tang Jing felt a chill run down his spine. The ghost realm was just like the human realm, full of all kinds of ugliness. It turned out that everything was based on relationships. In an instant, he no longer had a good impression of the ghost realm, nor did he have the slightest respect or fear for them. I don't know what method you used, but it can actually increase a person's lifespan. If more and more people don't die, then the ghost realm will have no source of ghosts, and ghosts will have to be reincarnated at every moment. There will only be output, but no input. In the end, there will be no ghosts in the ghost realm. Wouldn't that be chaos? But now that we have caught you, the main culprit, there will be no more troubles in the future. There will be an endless stream of ghosts entering the ghost realm. We can be carefree again. Why aren't you dead yet? A ghost marshal suddenly stared at Tang Zheng and asked suspiciously. That's right, the Yin Qi should have already invaded his body. How can he still be standing there unscathed? Another ghost marshal exclaimed in disbelief. Tang Zheng's body was warm, and he did not feel any discomfort. He gradually understood that perhaps ordinary people would definitely be killed by the Yin Qi in the ghost realm, but to him, his pure yang energy had completely offset the Yin Qi, and the Yin Qi had no way of entering his body, causing the ghost marshal's plan to fail. Tang Jing sneered. He looked at the other party with ill intentions, and said, "I already know the information I want, now it's your turn to die. I'm very curious if you can reincarnate after you die." Ghost Marshal's expression changed greatly. Although they were strong, they were still ghosts in essence. Once they were killed, their souls would scatter and they would completely disappear from this world. They would not have the chance to reincarnate. From the other party's reaction, Tang Zheng had also guessed the answer, and his killing intent soared. These two people already knew his identity, so they definitely could not let the tiger return to the mountain. Tang Zheng roared, and summoned the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrow. In the ghost realm, he did not have to worry about the problem of destructive power. The stronger the external force, the sooner he could take care of them. Tang Zheng pulled open the bow and arrow, and the expressions of the two ghost marshal changed, because they could already feel a powerful aura from the bow and arrow. Let's go all out. Ghost Marshal looked at each other and roared. With a wave of his hands, two bells appeared in their hands. The bell was silent, but every time it shook, the cold wind between heaven and earth would become even stronger. Waves of ghost cries came from all directions, causing people to shudder. Previously, I was unable to unleash the full power of the soul summoning bell in the mortal world. Now, I'll let you try it. The ghost commander roared out. The more the bell rang, the more anxious it became, causing sand and stones to fly. A gust of cold wind turned into a tornado, swirling towards Tang Zheng, and within the tornado, there were countless ferocious-looking ghost heads, all of them fiercely baring their teeth at Tang Zheng, as if they wanted to tear him to pieces. Tang Zheng was like still water. The heaven-shocking bow was pulled into a full moon, and seeing the tornado blowing over, He slowly released his fingers. Wang! With a strong vibration sound, the sun's shooting arrow left the bowstring and turned into a ray of light, accurately shooting into the tornado. Boom! 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 A series of explosions sounded out one after another. The ghost heads screamed miserably and exploded, turning into strands of Yin-Chi. The tornado also stopped abruptly and disappeared into thin air. Bang! The soul-summoning bell in the hands of one of the ghost marshals shattered into pieces with a clang, scattering all over the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered backwards. This. How could he be so powerful? Just who are you? The ghost marshal screamed in shock. The other one had blood at the corner of his mouth and looked like he was on the verge of collapsing. He screamed, "Run!" He turned around and ran. Obviously, this one was much smarter. He knew that the only reason he was able to fight to a draw with the other party was because the other party did not take out this great killing weapon. Now that they were far from being a match for the other party, if they did not escape, they would be waiting to be killed. The other one also seemed to have woken up from a dream and turned to run. Tang Zhang's reaction was even faster than theirs. He leaped and passed by the ghost marshal behind him. While he was still in the air, he pulled open the heaven-shocking bow and shot out the sun's shooting arrow, straight towards the ghost marshal in the distance. Boom! The sun's shooting arrow accurately pierced into the opponent's body and exploded. A miserable scream came to an abrupt end as the ghost marshal turned into black smoke and dissipated into the air. Tang Zheng landed steadily on the ground and turned to face the ghost marshal who was rushing forward. The other party anxiously stopped and looked at Tang Zheng in fear and uneasiness, shouting, "If you kill me, you will cause a huge mess. If you go against the ghost realm, you will definitely die." The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth curled up into a cold smile, and said, "Killing one is also killing a pair is also killing. Furthermore, you are not the first person from the ghost realm to die in my hands. I know, the ghost messengers and ghost generals that disappeared back then were also killed by you." The ghost marshal seemed to have awoken from a dream, but he was extremely shocked. "Since you know, then prepare to die." Chapter 540. Seeing the other party crush the ghost tablet, Tang Zheng did not have time to stop him. His face sank as he asked, "Without this ghost tablet, you want to trap me in the ghost realm? Consider yourself smart. Even if I can't kill you, I will trap you so that you will never be able to reincarnate." The ghost commander gritted his teeth and said. Tang Zheng did not think much of it and said, "Is that so? I'm afraid you've miscalculated. Look at what this is." Tang Zheng took out a black token. If this was not the ghost tablet, then what was it? When he killed the ghost messengers and ghost general, he naturally obtained this ghost tablet. He knew that the ghost tablet could summon the ghost gate and connect the two worlds. Seeing the ghost tablet, the ghost messenger's expression changed greatly as he exclaimed, "How do you have the ghost tablet?" Just as he finished asking, he suddenly realized, "I know, you killed them, so you obtained the ghost tablet." The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth rose as he said, "Now you can give up. You want to trap me in the ghost realm? Wishful thinking." The ghost commander retreated step by step, his face filled with panic. He suddenly knelt in front of him and cried bitterly as he begged for mercy, "I beg you, let me go. I won't say anything." Hee, it's too late. Tang Zheng slipped and appeared in front of the ghost commander. The other party was already scared out of his wits and subconsciously wanted to resist, but Tang Zheng had already grabbed his neck. Bang, go to hell. True fire emerged from Tang Zheng's palm, instantly igniting the ghost commander. The ghost commander screamed, but was unable to break free from Tang Zheng's grasp. His screams weakened bit by bit. Bang! With an explosion, he turned into wisps of Yin-Chi and scattered with the wind. Tang Zheng clapped his hands. After confirming that he did not leave behind any clues, he looked up. The sky was still dark, like the scene before a storm. From time to time, a cold wind would blow by, cold and awe-inspiring. What entered his eyes was a desolate area without any buildings. Even the ground was dark, as if it had been burned by fire. This is the ghost realm. It is indeed very different from the human world. The king of hell has set his eyes on the matter of extending his lifespan, and the ghost marshal he sent this time failed miserably. I wonder if he will send someone even more powerful. Tang Jing furrowed his brows. This problem really troubled him. Forget it. Let's go home and see how Grandpa is doing. He remembered that Grandpa had been in a coma. He didn't know how he was doing now. His true chi flowed into the ghost token. With a flash of black light, a ghost gate appeared in front of him. He leaped into the ghost gate. In the next second, he appeared in his grandfather's room, only to see Ling staring at the air with her head tilted to one side. It seemed that with her understanding, it was very difficult for her to understand such a sudden disappearance, but she had been waiting foolishly because she believed that her master would definitely return safely. When she saw Tang Zheng's figure reappear, she immediately cheered and jumped directly onto Tang Zheng's body. Like a sloth, she tightly hugged him, afraid that he would disappear again in a blink of an eye. Master, Ling thought that you had abandoned me. You finally came back. Ling is so happy. Ling said pitifully. Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily. He touched her head and asked, "Where is grandfather?" Grandfather is lying on the sofa. I let Xiao Bai and Gue Qiansui look after him. Ling said. Tang Zheng strode into the living room. He saw his grandfather's eyes were closed, as if he was sleeping soundly. Xiao Bai and Gue Qiansui quietly guarded him. Seeing Tang Zheng return, Xiao Bai rolled his eyes and drooped his head. It seemed that he had expected him to be safe and sound. Gue Qiansui was pleasantly surprised, immortal. Tang Zheng nodded. He held his grandfather's hand. A trace of Jin Qi wandered inside his grandfather's body. He checked and found that there was no major problem. He heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, if he had appeared a little later, the old man's soul would have been taken away from his body. Even if it was returned, it would cause great harm to his body. Fortunately, the soul did not completely leave the body. Tang Zheng stopped it, so the old man luckily escaped. However, the old man's body was still invaded by a bit of yin qi, so he was unconscious. But it was all dispersed by Tang Zheng's shin qi. The old man would not wake up for the time being. Tang Zheng did not intend to tell him about last night's big matter. He did not want him to worry in vain. So he told Ling and Gue Qiansui not to reveal half a word to their grandfather. Then he took advantage of the night to buy furniture. Because the old man's room had become a mess, almost all the furniture was destroyed. Of course, Tang Zheng could only buy new furniture. Fortunately, he had Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix, the two former local tyrants. Even in the middle of the night, they could gather a lot of furniture. When the sky turned white, he had already renovated the old man's bedroom. At this time, the old man faintly opened his eyes and looked around curiously. He thought he was dreaming. This was not his room at all. Seeing his grandson in front of him, he knew that all this was real. Of course, he could not help but ask. Tang Zheng had already thought of a countermeasure. He directly said that he was filial to him. He specially took advantage of the old man's sleep to change his clothes. He wanted to give him a surprise. Fortunately, the old man gradually got used to Tang Zheng's unusual behavior. Although he was distressed and complained about spending money, he did not say anything more. Only then did Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief and quietly got busy. Today was the most important day of the year, New Year's Eve. Therefore, Tang Zheng did not bat an eyelid, as if nothing had happened last night. He started to get busy early in the morning. But before she could get busy for a while, Lan Yu came to visit. She had fought hard for the opportunity to participate in this group year from the old man, so of course she had to perform well. However, she was not the only one who rushed over early. Mu Hongyan brought Nana over very quickly. The house immediately became lively and happy. New Year's Eve was an important day for the people of Huaxia. Not only the ordinary people, but also the officials and even some mysterious organizations were jubilant on this day. Looking at the red lanterns hanging everywhere, Wu smiled from the bottom of his heart. After returning to the martial sect alone, the sect master asked her where Mistress had gone. According to Mistress's instructions, she perfunctorily passed over. Regarding this, she felt extremely guilty. Since she was young, she had never hidden anything from the sect master. This time, she had no choice but to make an exception. This was because Mistress had warned her with certainty and seriousness that if the news of her looking for Tang Zhang were to spread, it was very likely that there would be a huge mess. Wu did not suspect that this was Mistress's alarmist words, because she did not doubt Mistress's judgment at all. Looking at the sky outside the high wall, her thoughts could not help but drift away. Mistress was alone in the ordinary balance. How was it? How was he getting along with the despicable Tang Zhang? Yes, she now defined Tang Zhang as a despicable fellow. This guy didn't know what was good for him. He actually treated Mistress so cruelly. She couldn't help but want to rush up and beat him up. Of course, in the dead of night, another thought would appear in her mind. She had done that kind of thing with that guy. If he were to return to the martial sect in the future and reunite with the sect leader's family, how would she get along with him? Back then, the sect master had said that he would adopt her for that day. That time, according to the sect master's orders, she gave herself to Tang Zhang. Could it be that the sect master already knew that Tang Zhang would explode one day? How could he foresee the future? Moreover, since the sect master knew that Tang Zhang was still alive, why didn't he look for him before? With the strength of the martial sect, even if it was like looking for a needle in a haystack, looking for a child in a busy crowd was not impossible. Why didn't the sect master take action? In addition, no one else knew that Tang Zhang was still alive. Why didn't he even tell his wife? Wasn't that too cruel? She calmed down and thought about it one by one. She found that there were many suspicious points. The sect master and mistress that she was very close to had too many secrets that she was unable to understand. Even the entire martial sect was covered with a layer of mystery. Even she, who grew up in the martial sect, was unable to see through it. Unknowingly, her delicate eyebrows were tightly knitted together. She retracted her gaze from the distant horizon. The people of the martial sect were constantly busy preparing for the New Year's Eve banquet. The martial sect also had to celebrate the new year. During the martial sect's childhood, for 365 days, other than the New Year's Eve, they had to practice hard on the rest of the days. Therefore, whenever the new year was approaching, she would silently hope that the day would come quickly so that she could play without any worries. Now that she had grown up, this feeling was getting fainter and fainter. Everything had turned into a meeting. But when she thought about it carefully, she felt that those days were exceptionally beautiful. Suddenly, her gaze turned cold as it locked onto two people who walked in from the door. One was the great elder, the other was an old granny. Ever since the great elder returned from the 10,000 huge mountains with injuries, he had been living in seclusion and had become somewhat mysterious. Even martial sect rarely saw him. Why did she bring an old granny to the martial sect this time? One had to know that the martial sect was not an ordinary place. Ordinary people would not be able to find it, let alone step through the door of the martial sect. That was simply a fool's dream. And this old granny was led by the great elder, so she was definitely not an ordinary person. She looked at the other party with a burning gaze, hoping to see some clues. However, she found that her efforts were useless. Suddenly, the old granny turned her head and looked at Wu Liao. When their eyes met, Wu Liao felt as if he had been struck by a giant bell. His face turned pale and he staggered back a few steps. The martial general's soul was still unsettled, but he hurriedly looked over, only to find that the other party had already shifted his gaze away, no longer looking at her. But that feeling just now was like a demon that lingered in her heart for a long time, unable to get rid of it. What kind of gaze was that? She was unable to describe it. She only knew that the gaze was extremely deep. Looking at it made her feel as if her entire body was about to be sucked in, unable to extricate herself. At the critical moment, she hurriedly circulated her energy and stabilized her mind. Only then did she withdraw from that dangerous state. However, she could not help but take a few steps back, her face pale. If a single gaze could cause such a huge impact on Marshall, then how powerful was the other party? Chapter 541. This old woman was no ordinary person, but the palace master of the Li Palace. Wu Junshan was surprised to see her. This was the first time the palace master of the Li Palace had come to visit him since he took charge of the martial arts sect. As the saying goes, those with good intentions don't come. Although the Li Palace and the martial arts sect were one of the two mysterious organizations, they didn't have much interaction with each other, let alone friendship. What was the reason for her sudden visit? Wu Junshan had a few thoughts in his mind as he quickly walked to the door. The two of them were of similar status, and because the princess was older, Wu Junshan didn't want to neglect her to prevent others from gossiping. Wu Junshan cupped his hands and bowed. "Palace Master Li, what a rare guest." It turned out that both the palace master and the holy maiden were surnamed Li, and the palace master was called Granny Li. She was still leaning on her walking stick, like an old woman with one foot in the grave. Her eyes were completely covered by wrinkles. She looked at Wu Junshan with a smile and said, "Sect Master Wu, how have you been?" "Thank you for your concern, Palace Master Li. I heard that you've been cultivating in seclusion for a long time, and it seems that you've gained a lot." Wu Junshan said meaningfully, but his heart was shocked. In the past, his cultivation was on par with hers. Although she had lived for decades and cultivated for decades longer, Wu Junshan was quite talented in martial arts and could be called a genius. Therefore, he had reached the 7th level of the Grandmaster realm in his middle age. But now, it seemed that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Granny Li had surpassed him and reached the 8th level of the Grandmaster realm. Wu Junshan knew that the further one went on the path of martial arts, the harder it was to break through each level. It was not easy for Granny Li to achieve this. However, Wu Junshan wasn't jealous, nor was he discouraged. He believed that with his talent and hard work, he could surpass her in the future. Sometimes, age could be the biggest advantage. Wu Junshan was younger than Granny Li by a few decades. One day, he would stand at the peak again. Granny Li smiled. Wrinkles covered her face like the bark of an old tree, contrasting sharply with Wu Junshan's smooth and delicate skin. "What brings Palace Master Li here?" Wu Junshan asked. Granny Li took a deep look at the other party and said, "Of course it's an important matter. I heard that something unexpected happened to the martial sect. 3rd elder and 4th elder both met with misfortune. This is really a pity." Wu Junshan's expression did not change, but his heart skipped a beat. He said, "The 2 elders sacrificed themselves for the martial sect. Everyone in the martial sect respects them. Indeed, I miss them very much. Back then, this senior had a lot of interactions with them." If the old sect master was here, perhaps he would not hesitate to make the murderer disappear from this world, Grandma Li said meaningfully. Wu Junshan's expression turned solemn as he asked, "What do you mean, Palace Master Li?" "I just heard that the murderer is still at large, and I feel a little regretful." "Oh right, I also heard that the culprit was actually a cultivator. Hasn't the martial sect always adopted a zero-tolerance attitude towards cultivators? Why is it that this time, the murderer is being ignored?" Wu Junshan's expression became more and more serious as he stared at Granny Li and asked, "Is there a hidden meaning in your words?" Is there?" "Palace Master Li, this is the martial sect's business. There is no need for outsiders to tell us what to do." Wu Junshan said bluntly. "Sect Master Wu has such a big temper. Even when the old sect master was alive, he did not have such a temper with me. Truly, the new generation excels the old. I'm just stating the facts. Today is New Year's Eve. If Palace Master Li is sincerely here as a guest, then this Wu will welcome you with open arms. If Palace Master Li wants to use your status to tell us what to do, then I'm sorry, but this Wu has no time to argue with you." Wu Junshan said grandly. Granny Li's smile did not fade as she said, I have been friends with the old sect master for many years. Since he is no longer here, of course I have to ask about the martial sect. The martial sect master is young and hot-blooded. If he makes a mistake and brings serious consequences to the martial sect, then I won't have the face to meet the old sect master in the future. Although these words were said casually, there was a lot of information in her words. She really wanted to fight to the death and interfere with the martial sect's business. Wu Junshan's heart burned with anger. The martial sect and the Li Palace had not interfered with each other all these years. If she wanted to interfere just because of a few words, then what was Wu Junshan? See the guest out. Wu Junshan directly sat back in his chair and coldly shouted. Granny Li did not move, and no one asked her to leave. Wu Junshan's thick eyebrows formed a Chuan character. He turned his head to look at the indifferent head elder. This kind of thing was obviously done by the head elder, but since he did not move, then things became complicated. Wu Junshan was extremely intelligent. He immediately sensed that something was amiss. Suppressing his anger, he repeated, First elder, see the guest out. The head elder stood up, but did not send Granny Li away. Instead, he faced Wu Junshan and said, Sect Master, Palace Master Li and the old Sect Master are old friends. Seeing that something is wrong with the martial sect, of course she has the right to ask. Nonsense. Hearing this, Wu Junshan immediately concluded that there was something fishy about the other party. They really did not come with good intentions. Bang! He slammed his palm on the armrest of the chair, making a loud noise. He shouted, How can an outsider interfere in the martial sect's affairs? Head elder, as an old member of the martial sect, don't you understand this principle? The head elder was not afraid at all. He said, Of course I understand. But this matter concerns the survival of the martial sect. I cannot turn a blind eye. A bunch of nonsense. Sect master, then let me ask you a question. We have already confirmed that the deaths of the third and fourth brothers are related to Tang Zheng, and he is a cultivator. Why did you order not to deal with him? What is the meaning of this? The head elder asked in a powerful voice. I am the sect master. I have my own considerations. Why do I need to explain to you? If that is the case, then why don't the sect master dispel my doubts and tell me what your considerations are? The head elder pressed on. You don't need to know. Humph, could it be that there is some secret that cannot be revealed? The great elder's eyes were like torches as he stared fixedly at Wu Junshan. Wu Junshan did not budge an inch. Their eyes met, and neither of them showed any signs of weakness. Wu eavesdropped on the conversation from outside the door. Seeing the great elder pressing on step by step and the sect master not explaining, she became worried. Of course she knew why the sect master did this. It was because Tang Zheng was his son. However, from the attitude of the sect master and mistress, they did not wish for others to know about this matter. Then the sect master would definitely not be able to explain it. If he could not explain it, then he would not be able to satisfy the great elder. What should he do now? Wu was rather respectful to the elders, but this kind of respect was much worse than the respect he had for the sect master. Especially when she saw the great elder bringing an outsider to the sect master to denounce him, her impression of the great elder plummeted. The two of them being so aggressive towards the sect master made her extremely angry. She rushed in with large strides and complained, Great elder, how can you speak to the sect master like that? Everyone's attention was immediately attracted to Wu. The great elder's face was ashen as he said, Wu, this is none of your business. Scram. However, it was as if Wu's feet had grown roots as he did not move an inch. Instead, he glared at the great elder and said indignantly, Great elder, this is our martial sect's business. How can we let outsiders interfere? This is simply a joke to outsiders. What do you know? This is not the place for you to speak. I'll say it again. Scram. The great elder roared at the top of his lungs. Marshall remained motionless. Grandma Li looked at Wu with a smile and said in a strange tone, "This must be Sect Master Wu's disciple." He, truly a famous teacher produces a brilliant disciple. He even dares to be so disrespectful to an elder. If the old sect master were to know of this, I wonder what he would think. In front of outsiders, a junior dared to speak to him in such a manner. It was truly disrespectful. The great elder was so angry that smoke came out of his 7 orifices. His face was red as he roared, "Since you don't know the rules, then I'll teach you the rules so that outsiders won't laugh at you." As soon as he finished speaking, he charged towards Wu like a bolt of lightning. Wu was shocked. The great elder actually dared to teach her a lesson in front of outsiders. Not only was this a slap to her face, it was also a slap to the sect master's face. Since when did the great elder dare to act so recklessly? Of course, Wu was not a match for the great elder. Just as he was about to move, he was locked onto by the other party's gaze. No matter what he did, he was unable to escape that slap. Wu did not care about being injured. It could even be said that death was not regrettable. However, he cared about the sect master's face. "Stop!" Wu Junshan angrily roared. He had already disappeared from his chair and was standing in front of Wu. He reached out his hand to block. With a peng sound, the great elder flew backwards. He staggered as he landed on the ground. He was in an extremely sorry state. Wu's heart still had lingering fear, but she also let out a sigh of relief. She was pleasantly surprised as she looked at the back of the figure in front of her. The sect master was too good to her. Not only was he her master, he taught her profound martial arts. He also protected her in all aspects. He did not even hesitate to use force against the great elder. Pa pa pa. Crisp applause rang out. Grandma Li clapped her hands with a face full of smiles and said, "Wonderful." Sect Master Wu did not hesitate to use force against an elder for his disciple. He truly is a role model for a master. Wu Junshan frowned and said, "Palace Master Li, the martial sect does not welcome you. Please leave." If you want to drive me away, it won't be that easy. If this matter is not cleared up, I will not leave," Grandma Li said. The great elder also stood beside Grandma Li and said, "If we do not clear up this matter, we will not be able to face the spirit of the old sect master in heaven. It is possible that the 100 years of the martial sect's foundation will be destroyed in a day. Palace Master Li is an honored guest that I invited to be a witness to this matter. Sect Master, today we must get to the bottom of this matter. Why exactly are you protecting that Tangzheng?" Wu Junshan coldly snorted and did not comment. Chapter 542. Granny Li looked at Wu Junshan thoughtfully and asked, "Sect Master Wu, may I ask where your wife went?" Wu Junshan's expression did not change, but his heart skipped a beat. Even he did not know where his wife went. Ever since that incident, he and his wife had been separated. Although the matter of his wife going out was very strange, he did not look into it and was perfunctorily brushed aside by Wu. Seeing that Wu Junshan took the initiative to mention it, he suddenly had a bad premonition. She went out to travel. Is that so? As far as I know, in the past 20 years, she has never taken half a step out of the martial organization. Why is she in the mood to travel now? Granny Li asked. A person's mood changes. She didn't like to go out before, but that doesn't mean she won't like to go out now or in the future. Don't tell me you don't even understand this principle? Wu Junshan asked. Granny Li did not mind, and the smile on her face became even wider. Sect Master Wu's words are really sharp. If I didn't know where your wife went, I might have been stumped by your question. Wu Junshan's eyelids twitched, and he subconsciously looked at Wu. Wu's face flashed with panic. Li Palace controlled the world's intelligence. Could it be that they really found the whereabouts of Master's wife? She faintly had a bad premonition. ******, my disciple once told me a strange thing. The wife of the martial organization's sect master left the martial organization for no reason and went to see that cultivator called Tang Zheng. Moreover, she even started a massacre for him? I really can't figure out the mystery behind this. I wonder if Sect Master Wu can tell me a thing or two. Granny Li directly exposed the loophole in Wu Junshan's words. Wu Junshan's mouth twitched. This was indeed out of his expectations. Even he did not know the whereabouts of his wife, but she was discovered by the Li Palace. But why did his wife go find Tang Zheng? Could it be that she knew about that matter? She did not ask about the affairs of the sect all year round, so who told her? Wu. Suddenly, this name came out from the bottom of his heart. He immediately turned to look at his disciple and found that her expression was indeed strange. As the person who had raised her since she was young, he knew her as well as her father. From this slight change, he could tell that she had lied to him. She definitely knew about this matter, and it was very likely that she had leaked the truth to his wife. He tried his best to conceal this matter, but he did not expect that Wu Yu would tell his wife, leading to the current situation. For a moment, he was a little flustered, but as the sect master of the martial arts sect, his ability to adapt on the spot was unparalleled. He immediately calmed down and glared at Granny Li, saying, "This is my family's business. There's no need to tell you." Granny Li smiled, and the wrinkles on her face blossomed, making her look somewhat sinister. She turned her eyes and glanced at the great elder. The great elder tacitly understood and immediately took over the conversation. He righteously said, "Sect master, this is not your family's matter, but a major matter that concerns the martial sect. You must make it clear." Wu Junshan was enraged. "Grand elder, since when is it your turn to question me? Who taught you the rules? This is going against your superiors, do you understand? That's not right. When the old sect master passed the position to you, he clearly said that the four of us would assist you in governing the martial arts sect, so as to prevent you from making any mistakes. Although third brother and fourth brother are no longer here, second brother and I have the responsibility and obligation to correct your mistakes in time, so as to prevent the martial sect from being led into a situation of eternal damnation." The great elder said with certainty. "I am the sect master. How can you interfere with my words and actions? Grand elder, you have colluded with outsiders to interfere with the martial arts sect's matters. You have already broken the rules set by our ancestors. Are you forcing me to use the family's laws?" Wu Junshan was a smart person. He took the initiative to point out that the other side had colluded with outsiders. This was a crime that all the sects and personnel hated. No one liked people who lived off others while helping others. But the great elder was not intimidated by this crime. He fearlessly said, "Do you want to use this crime to nail me to death?" Humph, the old sect master had long expected this day to come. He left behind a personal letter. "If you do not listen to the advice of us elders, we have the right to remove you from the position of sect master and find someone else to replace you." As he spoke, he carefully took out a tightly wrapped letter from his bosom. Unfolding it, it was surprisingly carved with words. "Take a look and see if this is the old sect master's handwriting?" The great elder asked proudly. Wu Junshan's pupils shrank as he stared at the letter. His mind was greatly shaken. Of course he recognized the old sect master's handwriting. Without a doubt, this was the old sect master's handwriting. Moreover, it was as the great elder said. If Wu Junshan did not listen to the elder's advice and did something harmful to the martial arts sect, the elders had the right to remove him and replace him with someone else. When he passed the position to me, he was actually on guard against me. No wonder he appointed the four elders to assist me. This is to monitor me and be on guard against me. Wu Junshan silently thought. He had a close relationship with the old sect master. Like Wu Junshan, he was also an orphan raised by the old sect master. The two of them were like father and son. However, he never thought that the old sect master would be on guard against him. Knowing this fact really caused him to have mixed feelings, and his heart was as cold as ice. A person he respected and trusted had been on guard against him from the beginning to the end, treating him like an enemy. This feeling could only be best understood by the person involved. Of course, he did not suspect that the Great Elder had forged this letter. Because each stroke was carved with a knife and an axe, no one else could forge the charm. However, Wu Junshan's reaction was extremely fast. A strange look flashed across his face, but he immediately calmed down and shouted, "Ridiculous, Great Elder, you colluded with outsiders to steal my sect master's position. You are truly deranged. You actually used such a despicable method. You did not hesitate to imitate the old sect master's handwriting to force me to do it. However, you are wrong. If I really did do it, then the old sect master would not be able to rest in peace. Since you colluded with outsiders, then you are a traitor of the martial sect." "Men!" Wu Junshan roared, and a group of people rushed in through the door. "The Great Elder has colluded with outsiders with ill intentions. He has already betrayed the martial sect. Capture him." Wu Junshan took the initiative and announced righteously. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. The Great Elder's face was ashen as he roared angrily, "Wu Junshan, you are slandering me. You clearly have an ulterior motive. Not only did you go against the martial sect's principles, you may even lead the martial sect to eternal damnation. That's why you're the traitor of the martial sect. Disciples of the martial sect, listen to my orders. We've already removed Wu Junshan from the position of sect leader. Capture him and punish him." The two of them spoke righteously. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing who to listen to. After all, these two were the highest in the martial sect. Seeing this, Wu Junshan stomped his foot and shouted angrily, "Are you going to disobey?" Everyone's heart trembled. No longer daring to hesitate, they swarmed towards the Great Elder. The Great Elder was furious as he shouted, "You dare to listen to the orders of a traitor? Death is not enough. I will help the sect master clean up the sect." The Great Elder was like a fierce tiger descending from the mountain as he rushed into the crowd. Every move he made was extremely ruthless. All of them were killing moves. The people at the front immediately fell to the ground, blood splattering everywhere. Blood immediately filled the air, stimulating people's nerves, causing the blood in their blood vessels to become restless. Granny Li was still smiling. No one could get close to her. She was like an outsider spectator, watching the group of people kill each other. Her wrinkles relaxed. Hee hee, interesting. These people were mostly veterans who had experienced hundreds of battles. When they killed, they were especially fierce. Chapter 543. Wu Junshan felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart as he watched his fellow disciples fall into a pool of blood. Wu Junshan was furious and was about to charge into the battle, but Wu Junshan was one step ahead of her. His figure flashed and blended into the crowd. Bang! 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 Everywhere he passed, people were sent flying, and all of them fell to the ground far away. No one could stop his powerful attack. However, he didn't kill them. After all, they were his subordinates. "Elders, look at what you've done!" Wu Junshan roared. He was already in front of the first elder. The first elder hurriedly retreated, but there was no way he could escape. Wu Junshan drew a circle in the air with one hand and the first elder was enveloped by a vast power. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape the circle. Wu Junshan's palm was like thunder, hitting the first elder's chest. The first elder staggered back, but Wu Junshan quickly caught up and grabbed his arm. With a tug, the first elder bounced back and was about to fall into Wu Junshan's palm. Wu Junshan's series of attacks were as fast as lightning. Although the first elder was also a master, the difference between them was like heaven and earth. Seeing this, the second elder wanted to help, but it was too late. The people who followed Wu Junshan's orders were all excited. This was the real master of a sect. This aura, this method, no one in the sect could be his opponent. No matter what tricks they played, they couldn't withstand a single blow from this absolute power. However, some people weren't optimistic. Wu kept frowning as she looked at Granny Li. Suddenly, she saw a blur in front of her and Granny Li disappeared. In the next second, she appeared between the first elder and Wu Junshan. She tapped the air with her walking stick. There was nothing strange about it, as if it was an ordinary attack. However, the aura created by Wu Junshan collapsed, causing the first elder to heave a sigh of relief. Wu Junshan didn't retreat. Instead, he quickly followed. His 5 fingers had already locked the first elder's shoulder blade, preventing him from moving. Although the great elder was a martial scholar, he was still like a puppet in Wu Junshan's hands. He was in a very sorry state. Granny Li chuckled and pointed her crutch at Wu Junshan's wrist. This time, it was not pointed at the void but at Wu Junshan's wrist. It was so fast and accurate that it was impossible to dodge. Wu Junshan's expression changed, but he still didn't retreat. He let out a low roar and drew a circle in front of his chest with his other hand. The air vibrated, enveloping the incoming crutch. Boom! Chi energy flew out in all directions, as if they were blown away by a tornado. One after another, they staggered backwards. Those who were not strong enough even fell on their butts on the ground, looking extremely pathetic. Wu Junshan only saw a silhouette flash before his hands were empty. The great elder was actually snatched away by Granny Li. Granny Li quickly retreated and pulled away from Wu Junshan. Marshall's mind was greatly shaken. The sect master had always been an invincible figure in her heart, but in this exchange of blows, he had actually fallen into a disadvantageous position. This caused her to be extremely shocked. Biting her lips, she really wanted to go up and help the sect master. However, she knew that in a battle of this level, her cultivation was not even qualified to be a bystander. On the contrary, she would only add fuel to the fire. Wu Junshan's face was gloomy. There was not much change in his mind, but a storm had already set off in his heart. There seemed to be only a fine line between the 8th level and the 7th level of the Master Realm, but the real gap between the two sides was not to be underestimated. For example, this time, Granny Li had seized the initiative and seized the opportunity to snatch the Great Elder from him. Granny Li's smile disappeared. She said, "Sect Master Wu's martial arts are really powerful. However, with me here, it is indeed impossible for you to kill these 2 elders. Sect Master Li, do you really want to get involved in this matter? This will make the martial organization and Li Palace enemies, and they will fight to the death." Wu Junshan asked in a deep voice. The relationship between the Li Palace and the martial sect is not something that can be clearly explained in a few words, and they are certainly not the old enemies you speak of. As for the specifics, the elders that followed the old sect master for most of his life are the clearest. Although you are the successor chosen by the old sect master did not stop telling you the details. This is a test for you. Now it seems that you have not passed the old sect master's test, and your position as the sect master no longer exists. Granny Li said slowly. Ridiculous. How can an outsider like you be qualified to say such words? Wu roared in anger. Granny Li did not care and said, "It is useless for you to argue. The current situation is the best evidence. If you continue to fight, then the martial organization's 100 years of foundation will really be destroyed. Letting you people take charge of the martial organization is really destroying it," Wu retorted. Granny Li did not care and looked at the 2 elders. The 2 elders understood and said in a clear voice, "In the name of the elders, we announce that Wu Junshan has colluded with cultivators and violated the martial organization's sect master. He will be stripped of his position as the sect master, expelled from the martial organization, and killed on the spot." Everyone started whispering to each other. Many of them did not believe that the sect leader would collude with the cultivators. These martial organization people had been instilled with a viewpoint since they were young, and that was to eliminate the cultivators by the roots and not leave behind any future troubles. Many people who originally believed in Wu Junshan refuted loudly, "Nonsense, how could the sect master collude with cultivators? You are slandering him. Is that so? Then why don't you ask him yourself and see if he is protecting that cultivator called Tang Zheng? Just what kind of unspeakable relationship does he have with the other? The great elder said proudly. Sect master, quickly say it. All of this is nonsense. There is no such thing. Immediately, everyone looked at the sect master excitedly, waiting for his answer. Wu Junshan's expression was normal, but he was speechless. Do you see? He has no way of answering. That means he is admitting it. This is the sect master that you all are protecting. If he is not betraying the martial organization, then what is he? The great elder struck while the iron was hot and said impatiently. The martial organization's rules were deeply ingrained in everyone's heart. Although they respected the sect master, they respected the martial organization's rules even more. Or they believed in the martial organization's rules. They were taught to kill cultivators since they were young. At this moment, they were suddenly told that the sect master that they respected was protecting cultivators and even colluding with them. This was simply the greatest blow to their faith, causing their confidence to sway. The great elder was very clear on this point, so he cleverly used this point. In an instant, many people who had pledged their allegiance to Wu Junshan began to waver. Of course, after all these years, Wu Junshan was not completely useless. There were still many people who believed him and angrily rebuked the great elder for spouting nonsense. Even if the sect master really did so, he had other intentions. He definitely did not betray the martial organization. The two elders' eyes flashed with pride. They looked at each other, then cupped their hands towards Grandma Li and said in a clear voice, Palace Master Li, a traitor has appeared in the martial organization, and this traitor's cultivation is high. We know that we are not his opponent. Palace Master Li, as the old sect master's close friend, we beg you to help us clean up the sect. His words were powerful and impassioned. Many people chimed in, Palace Master Li, please be righteous and help us clean up the sect. You are all crazy, shameless. Wu Junshan was so angry that he stomped his feet and cursed loudly. With Wu Junshan's style of doing things, she would never lose her composure like this, much less curse people like this. It could be seen how intense the anger in her heart was at this moment. Grandma Li nodded towards the two elders and smiled proudly. I am indebted to the two elders and the old sect master's kindness. Then this old one will not refuse and help you. Finished speaking, she turned to look at Wu Junshan. Sect Master Wu, no, you are no longer the sect master, you should be called Wu Junshan. You betrayed the martial organization, today I will help them clean up the sect. Wu Junshan sneered, ridiculous, Grandma Li, you are really powerful. I am afraid that in the future, there will no longer be a martial organization, but only the Li Palace. What he meant was that the Li Palace wanted to annex the martial organization. Grandma Li said, that is wrong, the Li Palace and the martial organization are connected, of course they will coexist in this world. The relationship between the Li Palace and the martial organization is not something you can imagine. Maybe when you go underground, you can ask the old sect master for advice, and he will answer for you. Wu Junshan was even more puzzled. From beginning to end, the other party had said that the relationship between the martial organization and the Li Palace was not shallow, but Wu Junshan had never known this. Even when the old sect master was alive, the two organizations did not have much interaction, which made him puzzled. In addition, looking at the other party's confident manner, it was not a lie, which meant that there were many things between the martial organization and the Li Palace that he did not know. As the leader of a sect, he knew nothing about these things. This was definitely something that the old sect leader had deliberately concealed. Furthermore, the four elders had received the old sect leader's orders and kept him in the dark. This feeling of being deceived was extremely unpleasant. Moreover, because of the matter with Tang Zheng, he had some complaints about the old sect master, but this feeling was always buried in the bottom of his heart. Now it seemed that the old sect master was far-sighted and seemed to have sensed his thoughts, so he had always been on guard against him. Thinking of this, Wu Junshan could not help but feel bored. In the first half of his life, he had almost sacrificed his son, but in exchange, he had been deceived and guarded. This made his heart turn cold, and he gradually lost hope in the martial organization. The hidden hatred for the old sect master grew stronger and stronger. It seems that you have many schemes that cannot be seen. Fine, since it is so, then I will not be the sect master. From now on, we will not interfere with each other's business. Wu Junshan said hatefully. The two elders were secretly delighted, their eyes shining with starlight. But many people advised, sect master, this is the enemy's scheme. You cannot fall into their trap. You are our sect master, forever our sect master. Wu also advised, sect master, please reconsider. I have made up my mind. Wu Junshan said firmly. During this period of time, he had been hiding his relationship with Tang Zheng, but he had also been secretly working hard. He had ordered Wu to bring Tang Zheng back to the martial organization at all costs, just to give his wife a surprise and make up for the mistakes of the past. Of course, he had misjudged the situation. That was, the elders were not sincere in their allegiance to him, but had other intentions. Chapter 544. Wu Junshan had already made up his mind. I have made up my mind. There is no need to persuade me. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. With that, he strode out of the door. Sovereign, I will go with you. Wu Junshan started to leave. Sounds of agreement could be heard from the crowd. Sovereign, we will follow you no matter where you go. In the end, 30 people followed behind Wu Junshan without hesitation. The two elders looked cold. They didn't expect so many people to follow Wu Junshan. They couldn't help but feel a little scared. If they let him run the sect for a few more years, maybe most people would listen to his orders. Then it would be impossible to remove him from the position of sovereign. Stop! Suddenly, the great elder shouted. Since you are no longer part of the martial organization, and you have colluded with cultivators, you are the enemies of the martial organization. The martial organization has never treated their enemies gently, but like a storm. Today, none of you will leave this place. Of course, the elders wouldn't let the tiger return to the mountain. They were very clear that with Wu Junshan's talent, his future was limitless. If they didn't kill him today, they would be in great danger in the future. These old men who had experienced countless storms were all vicious and merciless people. Their attitude was firm and decisive. They definitely wouldn't leave behind any future troubles. Wu Junshan and the others stopped and looked at each other in disbelief. You want to kill us all? Hasn't the martial organization always treated their enemies like this? The great elder asked. Equals, if you want to keep us here, we will have to see if you have the ability. Wu Junshan was not afraid at all. Of course they can't keep you here. Do you think I have the ability? Granny Li stood up again with a smile on her face. There was no doubt that she had decided to get into this mess to the end. Wu Junshan said, Fine, I have always wanted to experience Grandma Li's skills. Today is a good opportunity. You guys go first, I will follow. No, we won't go. We will advance and retreat with the sovereign. Wu Junshan said loudly. The others nodded in agreement. The great elder sneered. Stop arguing. No one can leave. Since you are so loyal to him, of course you will follow him to the underworld. Do you really not care about the friendship between fellow disciples? Wu Junshan asked. The elder sneered. Clearly, he would not show the slightest bit of mercy. Everyone, I, Wu Junshan, am not worthy of your respect and love. Since that's the case, let's kill our way out and see who can stop us. Wu Junshan said vehemently. Kill our way out, kill our way out. The crowd was stirred up. Let's do it. Seeing that their morale was high, the elder didn't waste any more time lest anything unexpected happened. He gave the order with a loud shout. Kill. Their shouts shook the sky, as if they wanted to lift the roof. The crowd immediately started fighting again. A few people had just gotten close to Wu Junshan's body when they were sent flying. Wu Junshan had just wanted to charge and kill them. No matter how many enemies there were, they wouldn't be able to withstand a charge from an expert like him. But how could Granny Li let him do as he wished? She fiercely tapped the ground with her crutch and soared into the air, attacking Wu Junshan from midair. Wu Junshan looked up and drew 3 circles in front of his chest with his hands. A surge of inner strength surged out from the circles and met the crutch head-on. With a pop, it was like a sharp weapon had popped a bubble. The air shook in all directions, but the crutch continued to attack Wu Junshan like a hot knife through butter. Every move was a fierce killing move. Obviously, Granny Li didn't show any mercy. This was her style. Once she had decided on something, she would do it without hesitation. This matter was personally instructed by the High Lord, so of course she didn't dare to be negligent. The martial organization and Li Palace were the 2 chess pieces in the High Lord's hands. Now that one of the chess pieces was disobedient, she naturally had to ensure that this chess piece returned to the right path. For someone like Wu Junshan who disrupted the game, she would not show the slightest bit of mercy. The High Lord is really observant. He didn't miss a single detail and killed all the dangerous factors in the cradle. Granny Li was full of admiration. Only after fighting with Wu Junshan did she understand how powerful he was. In the future, she really would not be able to deal with him. Moreover, she believed that he had a better chance of breaking through to the Martial King realm in the future than she did. Leaving such a disaster alive would be a huge problem for her, Li Palace, and even the High Lord. Granny Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. With a low shout, the strength of the crutch in her hand increased by 30%. She was determined to kill Wu Junshan in one hit. Wu Junshan had nowhere to retreat. His hands continued to draw circles in front of his chest. This time, it wasn't just 1 circle, but 9 in the blink of an eye. The air rippled, forming circles that wrapped around the crutch's earth-shattering attack. Wu Junshan, your yin-yang harmony balance has reached such a level. You can draw 9 circles in one breath. You're almost as good as the old patriarch back then. You're really a martial arts genius. Unfortunately, you're still not as good as me. Granny Li's expression changed slightly. The crutch had already landed, breaking the first circle, and its strength was reduced by a portion. When the 9 circles were broken one by one, the crutch was only left with a portion of its strength when it was in front of Wu Junshan's chest. However, even with just a portion of its strength, its power was terrifying. The crutch hit Wu Junshan's chest. Poof! A pillar of blood spurted out. However, at this critical moment, Wu Junshan grabbed the crutch. The crutch had used up all its strength and could not move forward anymore. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Wu Junshan's mouth, but his eyes were bright like the sun, so bright that it made people panic. Granny Li's heart skipped a beat. She had an ominous premonition, but she did not know where it came from. Wu Junshan opened his mouth and shouted, "Shadow, do it." Swoosh! A sword light lit up on the ground without any warning. Once it lit up, it was like a scorching sun, so bright and blazing that people could not look at it directly. This sword light appeared behind Granny Li, so it was impossible to guard against it. This crowded hall was filled with people. Everyone was surrounded by many people, so no one expected such a sword master to be hiding among them. Although Granny Li didn't see this sword, she could judge the power of this sword just by feeling it. The person who made this move was definitely not an ordinary person. The key point was that the other party's whereabouts were mysterious and had escaped her detection, which was very terrifying. Her crutch was grabbed by Wu Junshan, so she had no weapon to block this sword. Moreover, it was too late. The attacker had calculated the timing and could not afford to make any mistakes. The only thing Granny Li could do was to quickly circulate her martial arts and adjust her body slightly to avoid her vital parts. The sword that was supposed to be aimed at her heart missed by a few centimeters and went through her shoulder blade. Blood immediately flowed out from the sword. Poof! The long sword was immediately pulled out from her body, leaving behind a trail of blood. Granny Li shouted. She took a deep breath and regained her strength. Her arm shook and the crutch shook violently, breaking free from Wu Junshan's hand. Wu Junshan took a step back and did not follow up with another attack. After the opponent regained her strength, it would not be so easy to attack again. Moreover, that sword had taken advantage of the right time and place. It could not be used again. Although it could not kill the opponent, it had injured her, which was very rare. It was very difficult for an expert like Granny Li to injure her. Granny Li quickly turned around, but she didn't see the person who hurt her. Even the sword had disappeared without a trace. Moreover, there were so many people in the crowd who were using swords. How could she tell who was the real attacker? The two elders were also shocked by this scene. Even they didn't see the person who made the move. They only saw the resplendent sword light, and then the sword light disappeared as if it had never appeared. How could there be such a sword master in the crowd? As elders of the martial arts sect, how could they know nothing about this? Almost everyone immediately turned their attention to Wu Junshan. Although he had taken a blow to the chest and his clothes were dyed red with blood, he still looked dignified and imposing. Moreover, from the calm expression on his face, he was still confident and powerful. Where did this confidence come from? It was probably due to the shadow he had just shouted. Who was the shadow? How could there be a shadow in the martial arts sect? The shadow had mixed in with the crowd. Everyone subconsciously stopped fighting and looked at each other. Anyone could be the shadow. Granny Li stopped the bleeding and asked in surprise, "Is the shadow someone you secretly cultivated?" Wu Junshan smiled but did not say anything. Amazing. It seems that you even fooled the old sect leader. You are really good at hiding things. Granny Li clicked her tongue in admiration. She couldn't help but admire Wu Junshan. Not only was his cultivation high, but his shrewdness was also unfathomable. The shadow that he had secretly cultivated was definitely a master-level expert. How old was Wu Junshan to have cultivated such a shadow expert? Then, how early did he carry out this plan? The key was that he had fooled everyone, including the martial arts sect people who had been with him day and night. This was not easy to do. Granny Li could not help but feel a chill. If this kind of person was released, there would be endless trouble in the future. But she knew that with the threat of the shadow, unless she risked her life, there was no way she could stop Wu Junshan. Wu Junshan's plan was flawless, so he was not afraid. Wu Junshan, it turns out that you have been disloyal for a long time. You really hid it well. The first elder complained in fear. He realized that he had underestimated the opponent. If he did not report this to the sect leader and invite Granny Li, he would really fail miserably. But now, although he had not failed, this plan was equivalent to failure. He and Granny Li had the same idea. The threat of the invisible shadow was enough to make them hesitate. Only those who had sworn to follow Wu Junshan to their deaths were inspired. They thought that they would definitely die, but now it seemed that there was a turning point. Of course, many people looked around, trying to find the mysterious shadow. But where was the shadow? Chapter 545. Wu Junshan faced Granny Li and the others, his gaze as sharp as a knife. With a heavy snort, he walked out in large strides without fear. Granny Li's eyes fluctuated as she struggled with her heart, but in the end, she remained indifferent. The others did not dare to act rashly and could only watch as they left. The great elder anxiously said, "Palace Master Li, you can't let them go." Granny Li remained expressionless and did not move. The great elder was stunned, knowing that persuasion was useless. With just the few of them, wanting to stop Wu Junshan was tantamount to a fool's dream. Granny Li's pair of small eyes gradually narrowed into slits as she stared at the people walking out one by one, as if trying to distinguish who the mysterious shadow was. However, even when everyone left the hall, she did not notice anything strange. Thinking about it, it was reasonable. Since this shadow had been hiding in the martial sect for such a long time, even keeping the old sect leader and a few elders in the dark, he must be extremely careful. It was easier said than done to catch him. Seeing the group disappear, the two elders heavily pounded the wall and unwillingly vented. Letting them go like this is the same as letting a tiger return to the mountain. Granny Li gently glanced at them and said, Wu Junshan has been in the martial organization for so many years, but none of you noticed. That's why he could safely leave without fear. The two were immediately speechless and could not help but feel ashamed. We have let the old sect master down. But what should we do next? Since he is so protective of that Tang Zheng, let's first find out what their relationship is. Granny Li hit the nail on the head. The two looked at each other in dismay, unable to figure out the relationship between the two. They hung their heads dejectedly like defeated soldiers. Wu Junshan led a group of people and quickly left the martial organization, only stopping when they were more than 100 li away. Everyone looked at Wu Junshan. After so many years, these people had long regarded the martial organization as their home. Now that their home was gone, where should they go? Wu Yi looked at Wu Junshan with worry and asked, Sect Master, what should we do next? Wu Junshan said, From now on, don't call me Sect Master, because I am no longer the Sect Master of the martial sect. Everyone's expression changed. Although they had left the martial sect, these people still treated him as the sect leader. Thus, someone hurriedly advised, Sect leader, you must not. You will always be our sect leader. Although you have left the martial sect, we can establish another martial sect. We will follow you forever. We must make the new martial sect bigger and stronger, and suppress the original martial sect. Wu Junshan waved his hand and signaled for everyone to be quiet. He said firmly, I will not turn back. Since I have nothing to do with the martial sect, I will not establish a new martial sect. Then we can establish other organizations. As long as the sect leader is here, we can work together. We can definitely achieve something. Everyone hurriedly advised. Wu Yi hurriedly nodded. Obviously, she also thought so. She did not think that such a small setback would defeat him. He would definitely regain his glory and let his enemies know what fear was and what regret was. Wu Junshan's expression was resolute as he made up his mind. There is no point in saying more. I am very grateful that you all left the martial organization with me. It has been hard on you all these years. From now on, you are free. Without the martial organization's restrictions, you can all swim freely in the vast sea and fly freely in the sky. With your abilities, you will definitely be able to make a name for yourself in this world. Wu Junshan never worried about the livelihood of his subordinates. These people all had their own abilities and would not be at a disadvantage no matter where they went. In the future, they might even become a tyrant of a region. However, these people did not think so. Wu Junshan was their backbone. Without him, they would be like a sheet of loose sand. They would be like wandering ghosts without a master. No matter how many opportunities there were, they would not take a second look. Therefore, although Wu Junshan had only been in charge of the martial organization for a few years, his methods of controlling his subordinates were indeed very powerful. He could make his subordinates believe in him wholeheartedly and not use some benefits to rope them in. This was one of the rarest qualities of a leader. Previously, these people could bravely kill their enemies without batting an eyelid. However, after listening to Wu Junshan's arrangements, many of them revealed looks of fear and their eyes began to turn red. Put on. Someone knelt down in front of Wu Junshan, and then more and more people knelt down in front of him, sincerely persuading him, Sect leader, I beg you to take back the order just now, and lead us back to our former glory. Let those shameless people see how powerful sect leader is, and see how great of a loss Wuzong will suffer without sect leader. Rows of 9-foot-tall men knelt down in front of Wu Junshan, crying. This scene was very touching. Even Wu Junshan could not help but be moved. Seeing Wu Junshan's hesitant expression, Wu Junshan's legs went soft and he knelt heavily on the ground. The stone floor under his knees cracked in half. He then heard Wu Junshan say with great emotion, Sect leader, please lead us to kill the enemies. Let us follow you until death. Wu Junshan's eyes also turned red. Humans were not plants. How could they be emotionless? Although Wu Junshan had cultivated the habit of being indifferent, seeing this group of sincere people, how could he not be moved? He was silent for a long time. One by one, he helped the kneeling people up and said, I, Wu Junshan, am not worthy enough to make you so loyal. Good, since you have entrusted your lives to me, I, Wu Junshan, will not let you down. We swear to rise again and fight in the Jianghu. The crowd was moved. Many people were so excited that they were trembling. Their eyes were shining with passion. Although some were injured, their bodies were filled with endless energy. If they were allowed to continue fighting, they would not hesitate to charge into the battlefield. Then where are we going now? Wu Junshan said, we have our own place. Wu, come with me. I have something for you to do. The two walked to the side. Wu Junshan took out a package and handed it to her. Wu, I want you to go to Ordinary Balance and give these things to Tang Zheng. What is this? Wu Junshan looked at it curiously. It was the battle spirit sword and 2 sun-shooting arrows. These were the weapons that fell into Wu Junshan's hands in the 10,000 huge mountains. This time, it was time to return them to their rightful owners. Sect leader, are you not going? Since we have left the martial organization, you and I will call each other master and disciple. Moreover, you are also my disciple. Yes, master. I want to bring this group of people to a safe place. I don't have time to go to Ordinary Balance. Also, if I go to Ordinary Balance again, it will be too obvious. It will be easier for Tang Zheng's identity to be exposed. Wu Junshan said worriedly. Wu hesitated for a moment and said, Master, Tang Zheng and his grandfather have depended on each other for so many years, so he has a lot of resentment towards you and mistress. Wu Junshan revealed a lonely smile and said, it's just a little resentment. What does it matter? This is human nature. No matter who it is, they will not be able to immediately turn around in this situation. If he sees Master being so open-minded, I'm afraid he will change his mind. Wu said thoughtfully. Wu Junshan shook his head. His attitude is of no concern for the time being. The only thing we need to do is ensure that his identity is not exposed. If his identity is discovered by the Li Palace and the 2 elders, he will be in great danger. Wu nodded as if he understood. Therefore, when you go to Ordinary Balance, you must persuade your mistress to leave immediately. At this time, only by staying far away from Tang Zheng will he be safer. Wu Junshan warned. Will mistress listen to me? Wu said worriedly. She understood her master's feelings very well. Seeing her meticulous attitude towards Tang Zheng, how could she bear to leave and endure the pain of separation? Your mistress is deeply righteous. He will understand my good intentions. You can just say it. Yes, disciple understands. However, after your mistress leaves, you can stay by Tang Zheng's side. Your goal is much smaller than hers. Moreover, you have been with him for a long time, so others will not be too suspicious. When Wu heard this, he immediately objected, Master, at this time, I can only play a greater role by your side. Moreover, you are in need of people right now. But before she could finish, Wu Junshan waved his hand and interrupted her. Wu Junshan looked at her seriously and said, Wu, you can only play a greater role by staying by Tang Zheng's side. Do you remember when Tang Zheng was unconscious in the 10,000 huge mountains? Martial heartstrings trembled. That was her first time, how could she forget? At that time, it was because of the eruption of pure yang energy that he became in that situation. His body is very special, and who knows when the pure yang energy will erupt, so you have to stay by his side and save his life at this time. Wu Junshan warned. A hint of shyness flashed across Wu's face, but he quickly covered it up and asked nervously, Do you really want to do this? Wu Junshan nodded. Marshal, perhaps this is not fair to you. Wu hurriedly shook his head. No, it was Master who adopted me and taught me martial arts, allowing me to have so many things. This is something I should do. Then I'll leave it to you. Master, you're exaggerating. Where can I find Master after Mistress leaves? When the time comes, I'll naturally contact her. You don't have to worry. You'll be the only one on this journey, so you have to be careful. Right now, the Martial Organization and the Lee Palace are both our enemies. There's danger everywhere. In addition, I suspect that there's an even stronger person behind them. I don't know the origins of these people, but without a doubt, they're definitely not simple. Wu Junshan was a smart person. He had already thought of this point from the clues, so he didn't forget to warn her seriously. Wu was stunned for a moment. She never thought that there would be such a thing. Seeing her master so serious, she also nodded solemnly to show that she understood. However, she still had an unanswered question in her heart. Who exactly was that shadow? Was it among these people? She really wanted to ask, but when the words reached her mouth, she swallowed them back down. This was one of her master's most confidential matters. When it was time for her to know, her master would naturally tell her, "You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."